This is the pre-show event we wanted to give you. The name of our program, if you didn't listen yesterday, first of all, I encourage you to go after this show and listen to it again. It was a phenomenal show. 2021 Small Business Event of the Year, Total Business Wellness. Feel good, work good, and achieve intentional success. That was our main word yesterday, intentional success. What we'd like to do for you now is give you just a wonderful treat of your mayor, Davison, Rusty Knox. He's going to be playing some music for us for about 15 minutes or so until we actually start the program. And before we start the program, we're going to bring him over here and talk with him just a couple of minutes. So please relax, go get yourself something to drink, get you some popcorn, and about 15 minutes or so, the actual show is going to start. But for now, enjoy some live music from Mayor of Davison, Rusty Knox.
Thank you, Joe. Sun comes up over the pines out on Barker's farm. That's when I know that I'm home and I'm where I belong. Lights are shining bright on South Street. They're playing ball at McKever Field. When I see that big green wall, I can't tell you how I feel. This is our hometown. This is our hometown. And over at the college, the Wildcats are playing hard. Driving out on Griffith Street, I see Miss Evelyn in a yard. This is our hometown. This is our hometown. On Saturdays the farmers come. I waved a mic at Big Oak Farm. I pick guitar on Stephen's stage while my friends sing along. This is our hometown. This is our hometown. This is our hometown. This is our hometown. All my life I've been a soldier, fighting in a local war. Now that I'm so much older, I see it's not about the score. All my life I've been a father, I've always looked out for my own. I tried to look beyond tomorrow. I've watched and wondered how they've grown. The life that we've been given is more than we deserve. So focus on the journey. Don't lose it in the curve. All my life I've been a student. The learning wasn't my concern. Now that my eyes have been opened, I want to work, I need to learn. The life that we've been given is more than we deserve. So focus on the journey. Don't lose it in the curve. Put your arms around your brother. Lend a hand when you can. All we have is each other. Try to help your fellow man. The life that we've been given is more than we deserve. So focus on the journey. Don't lose it in the curve. So focus on the journey. Don't lose it in the curve. Thank you. That's a new song. Thank you. I got a fan club today. I want to thank everybody for tuning into this event for small business in the Lake Norman Chamber region. Again, as Joe said, my name's Rusty Knox. I'm the mayor of Davison, and it is an honor and a privilege for me to get to participate in this, and I can't thank Bill Russell enough for inviting me to do this. So here we go with a few more. So. No, the harmonicas is at home. My wife said that the only thing more irritating than the banjo is me playing the harmonica. So, and I have a plethora of both of them, and they don't get played. Tuesday morning came, they shut the door. Wednesday's here, I don't know what's in store. I close my eyes and I turn around. A whole life's work lies scattered on the ground. Picking up the pieces of my life, lining them up in a row, throwing out the bad ones that caused my strife. Now I know which way to go. Thursday came, silence, no one spoke. Friday passed by, is this just a joke? Feelings get hurt when the truth comes out. You try to talk, but you can only shout. Picking up the pieces of my life, lining them up in a row, throwing out the bad ones that caused my strife. Now I know which way to go. Saturday starts and the whole place is bare. Sunday morning we all kneel down in prayer. This week from hell is about to end. Monday morning comes and I'll start again. Picking up the pieces of my life, lining them up in a row, throwing out the bad ones that caused my strife. Now I know which way to go. Now I know which way to go. Thank you. Let's see. A gray sky swallowed the sun today. The wind blew, the rain came, and it washed us all away. Confetti skies with our lives spinning all around. Blow, east wind blows. Blow, east wind blows. Freight train is coming and it's rolling without any tracks. It moves straight ahead, it never looks back. It took our hometown and it turned it all upside down. For the rest of my life, I remember that sound. The call came, guess it's time that we go underground. Sirens rage, lives change, and it's dark all around. trees break, the earth shakes and the hail starts to pound. Blow, east wind blow. Blow, east wind blow. The freight train is coming and it's rolling without any tracks. It moves straight ahead, it never looks back. It took our hometown and it turned it upside down. For the rest of my life, I'll remember that sound. So gray sky swallowed the sun today. Beat my guitar out of tune. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. How am I doing? We're good. so this is one of my songs that I love to do anytime I play. So, Joe, you'll even like this one. I hear that train coming, it's rolling round the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when, and I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. And that train keeps on rolling on down to San Diego. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. When I hear that whistle blow, I hang my head. I bet there's rich folks eating some fancy down car, probably drinking coffee and smoking big cigars. And I knew I had it coming. I knew I can be free. And that train keeps on rolling, and that's what tortures me. If they freed me from that prison, if that railroad car was mine, probably in that station little far down the line. That's where I'd stay, and I'd let that lonesome whistle blow my blues Thank you very much.
I'm ready. How did Rusty know I was going to like that? I mean, do I look like a Johnny Cash kind of guy?
And you do. You absolutely
He pegged me. He pegged
Okay,
me.
Joe, what is this? Live from Lake Norman. What is it?
Live from Lake Norman, 2021 Small Business Event of the Year. We are calling this the Total Business Wellness. Feel good, work good, and achieve intentional success.
Intentional.
I said intentional.
I know you did.
Intentional. That was the word yesterday.
You intentionally said intentional.
Intentional. That's right. That's right. And this is sort of a pre-interview before the event actually starts, because I know you, Bill. There's no way we're going to let the mayor inside here just sing and leave. I know you're going to want to talk to him just a little bit, so we kind of had to twist his arm and pull him in.
Well, actually, Rusty Knox is going to not leave without saying a word.
Rusty, but before we say anything, I must have had 5 or 6 family and friends text me, and they said, "Who is that guy? He is great." So obviously they don't live in Davison.
Obviously they don't. And they don't see much talent from wherever they call from either. So.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Comments.
This is the second evening that you have given us of your time and talent, and we thank you so much, sir, for doing this. It means a lot to us.
Well, understand, I'm a small business person as well. So this means a lot to me, just like it means a lot to our region. So I'm more than happy to participate in this, and Bill knows he can call on me and several other people know they can call on me if you've got a fundraiser or anything else. I'm glad to show up with a guitar anytime.
And when you're not cutting the ribbon and you're not banging gavel and you're not singing, what do you do?
Well, I'm a real estate broker for Allen Tate. My mom started Knox Realty back in 1973, and about 11 years ago, we sold our business to Allen Tate. So my sister and I are as old as the building, and we're still we're still in the same building on Main Street that we've been in since 1973. Just has a different name on top of the building. So I am a real estate
Which is
broker.
a great group that you're working with, too.
Yes. In fact, we had Pat Riley here at the chamber not too many weeks ago.
And speaking of new buildings, we're going to be in a new building pretty soon in Davidson. Tell us what's going on.
We
with
are.
Davidson.
So on Tuesday night at our board meeting, we passed expenditure of the $12.5 million for our new town center on South Street. We acquired the old Davidson Elementary from Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools in Mecklenburg County. So we got a 31,000 square foot building with an old gymnasium and 5 acres of land. And it's historically designated.
So you're going to settle some disputes over a basketball game. Is that what's going to happen?
It's a short court at best. So my dad played high school basketball then, but I think they based the size of the court on how good a shape you were in at that time. So, but we'll have a new town center. We're hoping for April of 2022. And then we will repurpose our existing town hall for our police department.
Mayor, this is Small Business Week. Share, why is small business so important for the town of Davidson?
Well, other than our 3 major employers, which are Ingersoll Rand, MSC Corporation, and Davidson College, our town is built of small businesses. We have 29 restaurants in town, and they all survived the pandemic. But the other small retailers,
it's a big statement.
It is a big
That's
statement.
A huge statement.
We had one small business closed during the pandemic, and those folks were going to retire anyway, whether the pandemic had happened or not. So I am so proud of not only of our small businesses for the work that they did and keeping the doors open, but for what our economic development director, Kim Fleming, did with coming up with new and innovative ideas to help support the small businesses. We did as a town do some grants.
Well, and the citizens for supporting their local town. It matters, and it's going to pay off this year when they're still going to have commerce to go to.
It did, and it still does. Our residents were so resilient in supporting our small businesses, and it's just, you literally can tell story after story of the good things that happened to both the merchants and to the citizens back and forth. So it was just a great collaborative effort to keep everybody with their head above water. So it was a good thing.
And that doesn't happen unless you got a leader at the top. Is that right, Bill?
That's right. You know, per capita, you've got to have the highest concentration of restaurants of any town or city I know.
We do, and you kind of embrace that, the fact that we have become a foodie location. I had lunch a couple weeks ago with a couple that drove down from Raleigh. They were hoping to eat lunch at Kindred, and Kindred is not open yet, so they were going to hang out long enough to eat dinner. But they drove from Raleigh just to eat, and that was really great. And the cool thing was is they got in their car and went back to Raleigh when they were done. So, but it's great that people realize that Davidson is a destination point now, not just to come see where Steph Curry went to college, but a place that you can come and get a really good meal and have a great environment.
Hey, before you actually get out of here, the farmers market. Talk about the farmers market.
So our farmers market has just grown exponentially over the years. We just did a phase 1 of a redo on our downtown gathering space. So we expanded the brick mezzanine to make better pathways for the vendors and everything. We put a new tot lot in. We've added over 100 picnic tables with umbrellas around town as well. But we put 1,500 to 2,000 people in downtown every Saturday for the farmers market, and it's just
that is a
remarkable
number.
It is amazing, and it continues. It's just since we started it back for the spring, it's just astounding what you. I mean, I waited in line for almost an hour the day before Mother's Day because I was one of those procrastinators that waited in line for flowers. So,
Rusty, I'm curious. You know, you were on the radio show. It was during your election, before you were elected.
Almost 4 years ago.
That's been over 4 years ago. What is different now that you are the mayor than the fresh-eyed guy that I remember, right? That was running for office. What surprised you about being a mayor that you didn't really know about? And that's going to be an interesting answer because your whole family has been in this, so
True.
It's not as if you didn't know what you're getting into.
Well, and I am not a politician. Of the 5 mayors in my family,
buddy.
I'm the least
You
political. But the one thing that has surprised me, honestly, is the speed of government. You can't do anything fast. And it used to be, as a citizen, you're frustrated because you had these great ideas and the town board discussed it, but then you realize the hoops that you've got to jump through to get things appropriated, to get guaranteed bids and everything else. It's not a quick process to get anything done. I still embrace it every day. I love my job. I I love the level that I'm at right now, because to walk down the sidewalk and have somebody come up and say, thanks for fixing that.
Right.
Means more to me than anything I could do at a higher level than where I'm at. So I love being the mayor. I love going to the elementary schools and the kids like, he's the mayor, you know, and you know, or parents will stop on the street and introduce me to their kids, and that just means so much.
Well, but what's so interesting from an outsider, right, that looks into Davison, they picked a man who is Davison. I mean, it fits, you fit, and it works well for everybody. It is a unique situation that you don't see very often.
Well, I'm a big black T-shirt person normally. And I was as a musician all the time in jeans and a black T-shirt. I dressed up for you guys today. But,
and we appreciate that.
I have several black T-shirts that just say 28036 on them, because that's our zip code, and that's me. You know, that's what it is. And I like the fact that I'm a townie, and I like the fact that people know that I have not just that I'm the mayor, but my family has a history there, and a place there where. It's something that's always been based on giving back to the community and community service, because that's the name of the game. That's how you.
You know, Rusty, for Bill and I, we talk to a lot of people, and one thing we can spot, and that's just genuine. And you are genuine, and that really is something that matters to people, and they can see it, right? And so for that reason, it's what just warms our heart that you have embraced us in small business, and we can't thank you enough for starting this evening off, and can't thank you enough for helping us yesterday as well.
Well, and again, I love to do it, and anytime you need me, you know you can call on me.
Mayor, thank you very much for being here tonight.
All righty. Take care.
Thank you, my friend. I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
it.
Thank you.
So, Bill, that's what a mayor's all about.
It is what a mayor is all about. We're so fortunate to have Rusty involved. So
Let me try and start this program off officially. You are listening to the second day of the 8th annual Small Business Event of the Year. This is a signature event for Lake Norman Chamber. Bill and I have been putting this thing on for about 8 years now, and I must tell you something. If it wasn't for Bill Russell, it wouldn't have happened virtually last year. It really was you pushing us along, and then you encouraging us to do it again this year, because you want to keep giving value to the members. This year we're calling this event Total Business Wellness. Feel good, work good, and achieve intentional success. And what you're going to see this evening are 3 phenomenal women. Before we start this event, I did it yesterday. I'm going to do it again, whether he likes it or not, because of those of you who weren't listening yesterday, I want to tell you a little bit about my friend who's sitting next to me and the president of Lake Norman Chamber. Bill Russell is not only the president and chief executive officer, serving well over 23 years for Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce. He is a resident of Huntersville, North Carolina, and he lives in Rock Hill, and he has a 18-acre, I made a mistake yesterday, said 14 acres. I heard about it all dinner long afterwards. 18-acre farm.
I got a call from the county treasurer, you know.
and I want, but before I finish his introduction, I want to ask you a question. Do you have some chickens on there? Are there some chickens on the farm?
There's no chickens, but we have a rooster.
Okay. That seems to go well for the 18-acre farm that he has been taking care of for years. It's been in the family for years. Bill serves on boards at Visit Lake Norman, also our town's Habitat for Humanity, Lake Norman EDC, Ada Jenkins Center. Very few people know Bill was the president of United States JC Foundation. He is a past president of Lake Norman Kiwanis Club and Carolina Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives. He is also a member of North Mecklenburg Rotary Club, and in 1996 he was recognized with the Order of the Palmetto, which is the highest honor bestowed upon a citizen of the state of South Carolina. It is a civic involvement award. I said it last night. I'm going to say it again. I would give you a civic involvement award for the Lake Norman area if they would allow me. Maybe I can get the mayor before he leaves to write up a paper for you. But all of the things you've done, Bill, for this area, it is too much to call, and I am so pleased to have you pushing us along and also being my partner in this small business event. So my friend, thank you so much for being involved in this. And this entire day has been a treat and a joy to look forward to, because yesterday it was phenomenal.
It was.
We had 3 women. Come on, you can come over and sit. We've had 3 women yesterday that were absolutely amazing, and I've been getting phone calls and emails from people that just thought the women that they heard last night was just absolutely unbelievable. Tracy was unbelievable, and Danny was phenomenal. Chuck is just the most remarkable speaker that we could have, and today we have 3 women that are going to top that, and that's a big statement.
It is. And you know, you talked a while ago about what made this successful. It couldn't be successful, though, without the support of our sponsors. The presenting sponsor of our whole business week is Novant Health, Huntersville Medical Center. And we have Mike Riley. He's the president of Novant. Welcome, and thank you so very much.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here, very proud to be the sponsor of the Small Business Week. I said this yesterday, small businesses are the lifeblood of Lake Norman. And Lake Norman, I don't have to tell you guys this, but it's a really neat place. It's a really great place to live. It's a really great place to work. And the personality that comes with this area is directly related to the small business. And that's a great way to put that. I agree with that statement. That's a wonderful way to put that. That small business people really bring the personality to the community. That's interesting. You can get anything here. You can any crafts, any kind of any items, any services. It's just amazing what the small businesses do.
Mike, we had Kathy Ames here last night, and we talked about how the coronavirus is almost in the windshield. We can kind of look back on some of this stuff. Vaccinations taking place. Tell us a little bit about what's going on at Novant and what you're seeing out there.
Yeah, so we're really pushing vaccinations right now. Initially, when the vaccines first started, we had incredible demand and not enough supply. Now we have plenty of supply, and we're pushing the demand. We would like to see as many people as possible get vaccinated. It's what we're seeing in the hospitals now are a significant drop in corona cases, in COVID cases. Mid-January, kind of December going through February, it was astronomical, the number of cases we saw. Now we seem to be on the back end of that, and that's good news. We're seeing smaller numbers, primarily because of the vaccinations. So I think that's good news. Interestingly, though, our hospitals are still full, and I think not just at Huntersville, but throughout the Charlotte region and probably throughout the country. I talked to you guys about this 8 months ago, how people weren't going to the hospital, they weren't going to their doctor's appointments, they weren't getting their healthy checkups, and I think we're starting to see that now as patients have let things go and they're ending up in the hospital where they probably could have handled things earlier. So I just reiterate, health is huge to us, not just taking care of you when you're really sick and in the hospital, but keeping you healthy before and after you get out of the hospital, keeping you from coming back.
A lot of the elective surgeries were put off.
Exactly.
And so you have those coming back, and you're starting to see those take place at the hospital now.
Yep.
You know, we were talking about it yesterday. People seem to forget a lot of healthcare is small business. You know, it is a business, and it is a bunch of hardworking people that are employing people and have to worry about P&Ls and balance sheets and the same challenges that us business people have to think about. Right. But we don't see it the same way, right? There's this level that you have to provide as a health professional that we as small business people, we tend to overlook. You know, that if we make a little mistake, we get somebody ding us on Yelp. You guys make a mistake, it's a little bit more of a problem, so you're a little bit more cautious.
It can be a little different if you make mistakes. Yeah.
Talk about that, though, because it really is a genuine void, if you will, that people seem to miss from time to time.
Yeah, so for us, we look at our error rates and things like that, like the airline industry or the nuclear regulatory agency. We, you know, if they make a mistake, a plane goes down and people die. Nuclear industry, same thing happens. And the same thing for us. When we make mistakes, people get hurt. So our theme, our number one thing that we focus on is first do no harm, and make sure that we give great care to people, and we double check and triple check, and we have a huge safety culture throughout Novant and really throughout healthcare. It's incredibly important to us. But you made a good point.
And it's important because there is a cost to that.
Sure.
And sometimes you miss that point.
Right. Right. No, exactly. I mean, not just not just the financial cost, but if we make a mistake on you while you're a patient in the hospital, that cost is unbelievable. So yeah, and you mentioned small businesses. There are great points. So many small businesses that help with the continuity of care throughout from a healthcare standpoint. It used to be all you worried about was the hospital and what happened there, and everything else was you're kind of on your own. Now we're trying to connect the dots with all the small businesses, all the outpatient centers that take care of you beyond the hospital, because again, we don't want you coming back in.
Mike, there's been some growth that's taken place during the virus. You guys saw some expansion. You want to talk about the resources that you brought to bay here in Huntersville?
Sure, yeah. We, about a year and a half ago, we added 48 beds to the Huntersville Medical Center. That was a big need. We were, again, this community grows so fast. I think that's the name of the game throughout Lake Norman is growth. We added 48 beds to that. We added 9 beds to our ED. We're in the process of building a 7th operating room. We will, in 3 or 4 months, start construction on our pediatric ED, which is a big project that we're excited about. We take care of lots of kids every day in our ED, but they're in with all the other adults. And this will separate those kids into different rooms, into a different waiting area, so that you're not in the room with, you imagine being a 5-year-old with whatever your problem is, and you're in the room next to an 80-year-old person and a person with cancer and a person with behavioral health issues and all that. And it's a scary place.
Well, my son has a kidney disorder, and at some point he's going to need a transplant. And I feel that. I get that. It is a moment in your life that you'd prefer not to share, right.
Right.
And you don't know how you're going to react to that. And what you're describing, only skilled people know what somebody's going through, and you really hope nobody has to know, right? It's only there when the moment happens. So I absolutely get that, and it shows the detailed thought that you guys are putting into your care.
Sure. Yeah. No. Absolutely. That's hugely important. Another thing. This entire pediatric project has been funded by philanthropy in the Lake Norman community.
Wow.
So I can't thank this community enough for that. They saw that it was important, and headed by a number of donations, but the biggest one from the Martin Truex Foundation.
You heard me talk to Rusty Knox about the farmers market. I saw this week, coming to work, we got the farmers market back open at Novant. Explain, though, that's kind of uncharacteristic, a farmers market at a hospital. Why is that important, and why did you guys do that?
So health is not just medicine, and health is not just doctors and nurses. Health is how you take care of yourself. So it's hugely important to us that people have access to fresh fruits, fresh food. It's and it's wonderful for the community that's right there. And as often as we can give these kind of things to our community, the better. The better you eat, the less chance. Bill, I love you, but I don't want you coming to the hospital with a problem related to the food you're eating.
I was thinking the same thing. I really don't want to see Mike.
He's trying to say lay off the Krispy Kreme. That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's saying. Yeah.
Well, tell what are the days and the times the farmers market's open there at Huntersville?
Yep, they're Tuesdays from 11 until 2. So yeah, and it's certainly not just for the hospital or patients, or it's for the entire community. So come on out.
Well, Mike, again, I want to thank you.
We can't thank you. And this cannot happen. You can see all that's going on, and you can't see all that happened to make this come to this point. And my friend, we cannot thank you enough for letting this happen.
Our pleasure. Absolutely our pleasure.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Novant.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Bill, man, I got to tell you something. With guys like that running a hospital, business people helping him put together new beds, this community is strong.
It is strong. It is strong.
And Rusty talking about how only one small business closed in the Davis, or one food service closed in the Davis.
They were going to close anyway. That was
absolutely,
they were going to be retiring.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was inevitable. But I think that's outstanding. The sad thing is, Joe, not every business was able to persevere through the challenge.
Yeah.
But
and that's what this entire day is all about. We want to make sure that everybody understands. We want you to celebrate small business, celebrate the things that are happening, because it is important to us that from time to time, community leaders need to be reminded. That's kind of why we got Bill. You know, you're like the soft hammer. You know, from time to time, us small business people need somebody to remind people that, you know, small business has needs, and that's really what the chamber does, Bill. That's part of what's happening here.
Not only do you have a soft hammer, we have a velvet hammer, and we have my 2021 board chair, Erica Erlenbach, who has joined us.
Erica, thank you so much for coming. We really do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Before we get started, though, I'm going to make Bill do an introduction to my buddy, Steve Gilligan.
Steve Gilligan, he is one of my favorites. He was on last night. We interviewed him. He's going to give us some motivational bites. Chris, can you cue up Steve Gilligan?
You got that queued up, Chris?
Over 35 years ago, I was told a story about a successful businessman who was about to retire, and he knew that it was time to choose a successor to take over his business. One morning, he called his management team together and said, "It's time for me to step down and choose the next CEO. All of you will get a chance to be my successor." The young executives were shocked. The CEO said, "I'm going to give you all a seed. A special seed. I want you to plant this seed and water it. Bring it back after 3 months from today with what you have grown from this special seed. After judging what you bring, I will choose the next CEO." As the story goes, one executive named John purchased a potting soil, and planted the special seed he was given by the CEO. Every day he watered it, and he watched to see if it had grown. After 5 weeks, there was nothing. Some of his management colleagues began to talk about their plants and how much they were growing. A few more weeks of watering and fertilizing, it still had not grown. At the end of 3 months, John had no plant, just an empty pot. As he entered the building with his empty pot, many of his associates were laughing at him. When the CEO came in and checked all the plants, he asked everyone to sit down, except John. He looked at John and then announced to the other executives, "Behold, your next CEO is John." John couldn't believe it because he couldn't even grow his seed. Others were shocked and asked, how could he be the new CEO? Because 3 months ago, I gave everyone in this room a seed, a special seed. I told you to plant this special seed and water it and bring what it produced to me today. The thing is, I gave you all boiled seeds that were already dead. It was not possible for them to grow. Yet all of you but John brought me plants from other seeds. When you found that the seed wouldn't grow, you planted another seed for the one I gave you. John was the only one with courage and honesty to bring me a pot with the seed I gave him. Success in life is about being forthright, authentic, trustworthy, and at all times being honest. Creating an atmosphere of honesty fosters a culture of self-accountability and responsibility. Ultimately, honesty builds trust and confidence. Voicing the truth enables everyone to identify issues and work as a team. Being honest isn't always the easiest thing, but it's the right thing and the important thing. Whether it's personally or professionally, you have a duty to be honest, especially when it's the hard thing to do. Honesty is something that we all assume is a given. As children, we're told that honesty is the best policy. Once we enter the real world, though, we realize there are times when decisions may conflict with our personal values. Before we know it, we're running our lives in a way contrary to our values. The bottom line is that honesty really is the best policy. When you let go of the need to bend the truth and embrace honesty, you let everyone around you see its positive effects, and your personal and professional life will flourish as a result.
And we are back. I love Steve. I just absolutely love him. You can get these bites. You can go online. If you just email me or Facebook me, Julie, my company factotum. You like that title? I give her that title because I can't. Company factotum. I give her that title because I don't really afford to
You make
pay
stuff
her
up
what
as
she
you go
really-
along. Is that what you're doing?
That's a good quality word, man. That's a good quality word.
Okay. All right. All right.
So anyways, if you'd like to get he has 52 of those. They're just phenomenal. You can look him up on the internet or just send me or Julie email. You can do it right now on Facebook, and Julie will get that information to you. He's just great. I really just enjoy all of Steve's stuff. And so now we have another
Heavy hitter.
person that you talked into.
Absolutely. We have the 2021 board chair, not the 2001.
Okay.
As alleged earlier.
Okay.
2021 board chair of the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce, Erica Erlenbach. And Erica, I want to ask you,
Erica, thank you for coming here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
from outside of the chamber perspective, outside of the board chair, why is the Chamber of Commerce important to a small business?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking that. I mean, there's many reasons. I would say, not only do we offer professional development, we offer the opportunity to make connections and networking, especially in the world that we're in right now. We've lost some of those connections. So especially right now, to be able to remake those connections, to have the job boards and the marketing that the chamber does for small businesses especially. But I would say the key thing that we do is advocate. We are advocates, and we do that both on a local level. We do it legislatively. We've got policy committees. We want to support the local small businesses, and I think our chamber does an excellent job at that.
One of the things that the chamber does so well, I call it an equalizer. It gives me a chance to sit in a room with somebody like you. Normally, otherwise, that's not going to happen. I get to sit in a room with Rusty Knox. I mean, it truly gives me an opportunity to work with. Where else can a small business guy be on a small business event for 8 years in a row, being put on by thousands of people watching it? That only happens when you partner with your local chamber. All of those things work together in a way that put us in positions that otherwise we wouldn't be in. You hit on one of the things that Bill is a master at. That's why I call him my political. I'm his mentee when it comes to politics.
You're in trouble. You're really in trouble.
For small business people is something we'd like to stay out of.
Right.
And so to have you guys go do that, you guys go to Raleigh, you guys communicate with the politicians and filter our emotion, right, is very helpful.
Right. We're standing up for the small business. We are going to get across what needs to be gotten across to those in Raleigh, in Washington, as needed. So it's a great opportunity for a small business to get connected and to share their concerns and their thoughts. And we're going to share it with the correct elected officials.
I keep telling Joe, politics is just simply about relationships.
That's right.
And that's the essence of business, is relationships. Outside of your role at the Chamber of Commerce as the chair, you've been a past chair of the Rotary. Explain why our civic clubs and being involved in the community in civic organizations is important for business.
That's a great question, too. You're just hitting them all today.
I wish you wouldn't have done that. I can't tell you how I hate that you're complimenting him.
So
it's going to be difficult this evening, you understand.
I understand. You've got a long rest of your night. So. But yeah, no, it is a great question, because our civic organizations, that's how we get on the granular level, right? That's where we figure out, okay, what are the needs in the community that can be helped by us as business individuals, but maybe not on the same scale, right? I mean, if my firm wants to go in and do something charitable, we can do it, and we can do it at this level. But we can take an organization like the Rotary Club and do it on this level, because we've got that backing, we've got the other people that are out there doing it with us. So it's a great way to, enforce community, and a great way for a small business to be able to, express themselves in a charitable manner. Businesses are interested in doing that the same way. And so again, Rotary being, non-political, non-religious, it's a great middle ground.
So Erica, let's change subjects for a minute.
Okay.
So I've been telling people the future of business is changing. I happen to know you are an exceptional attorney.
Thank you.
I happen to know you have helped hundreds of small business people.
Thank you.
It's no secret that we have 3 really great, sharp, intelligent women that are going to be speaking on business. The future of business looks completely different than it did 5 years ago. Can you talk about that, women in business? Are you seeing it also? I'm seeing it from almost every direction. And it's not just the face of business changing, but the interest and the why and the motivation of business. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I mean, not only are you seeing more women that are willing to not follow the traditional gender roles, but you're seeing more businesses being willing to adapt to that. And I think that's really, that's one of the key points. Because, for instance, my firm, our managing partner is a woman. She's the founder of that firm. She has a child. She, is in a relationship. So there's a lot that she's got going on personally, and yet she is running that law firm. We have all of our different groups within our law firm. She heads up one of our corporate groups in addition to that. We're all out networking. We're all making it work. But the only way we can do that is if those around us are supporting us to do that. And so I think, I do think it's women realizing that we frankly can do it all.
Yeah.
Just like any man can do that. So, being able to really step out and do that, and then have the support of the other businesses and other individuals within our businesses for that purpose. So absolutely. I will say too, one interesting thing about COVID is it forced us out of sort of a traditional format, right?
I agree.
How many of us got up every morning, got on the interstate, drove to their offices, from their offices, did their work, drove home? I mean, it's the traditional format. And I think one positive, if we can find a positive in COVID, right?
There's been a few.
There's been a few,
Yeah.
that it forced us to really look at that and say, is this what's going to be the right way to work moving forward? And so being able to look at things differently, including gender roles and including just roles in general and how we do business, I think has been, one great learning experience.
To your point, what I've seen is we used to try and separate the personal life. Now, because of Zoom call, the son walks in and asks me a question, can I have the car keys or whatever it may be. Right. We're kind of accepting. We're
That's
okay
right.
with that.
That's right.
And I think COVID has done that because being at home, we all have to accept that there is a personal life there, and it was okay. Well, when we were in the office, we wanted to try and separate those two things, and now we realize, we probably can do them okay, together.
Erica, Joe and I were just talking before you came on that this event that we're holding tonight, and we held last year. When we held at the Peninsula Club, we had about 140, 160 people.
200 was the maximum.
200 tops. Whereas we've already had over 500 people watch last night's video.
That's fantastic.
That's last night's video. And that's going to continue to grow. Last year, we had 12,000 people watching the videos that we did over those 3 nights. And so we're reaching and touching more people. And that was caused by COVID, because had we not had the pandemic, we would have had the event at the Peninsula Club with the 200 people.
Right, and been happy with that.
Oh, we would have.
Right.
That we are excited that we're back together.
Absolutely.
We're meeting, we're networking. Let's talk about the rest of the year, because up until about March, we were still pretty much handcuffed. What's going to happen with the Chamber of Commerce from here on out?
Well, you're going to see us get real busy. We have events. I mean, I want to say at least 2 or 3 of them a week now. You're going to see that for the rest of the year. We have a number of banquets and luncheons, so there's a lot of opportunity to be able to come out and network. There's a lot of opportunity to get reconnected. I'm going to take this opportunity, Bill. I hope it's okay, and Joe.
It's always okay.
Thank
when
you.
you're with Bill and I, just do what you
that.
want.
Thank you. I want to take this opportunity to just share a little bit, because this year it is an interesting, and I like to think of as an exceptional year. We are coming back after this year of basically being almost non-existent, in the sense that we all were at home. We all were sort of limited in what we could do from an interaction perspective. You know, the chamber was still there supporting and wanting small businesses to be supported, letting folks know, hey, these are the restaurants that are open, these are the businesses that are open, go support them. But now being able to step out and really get involved, I mean, it's a whole other level, and we are going to make it amazing. This next, this year and this coming 9 months that we've got left in the year, 8 months, I guess it is. I really want to focus on what my goals are, and my goals are all about re-engaging, rebooting, refreshing, reconnecting. This year it's all about the right? Because we've been living this different world for the last year. And so let's figure out how to reconnect, reunite. I think the chamber is going to be a great opportunity for folks to do that.
And what is happening June 24th?
Oh, was this a test?
June 24th. Oh, it is the 0K, which is one of our new fundraising events.
He said that because I love the 0K.
Yes.
I'm not a runner.
Yes, we have our 0K. It is available to sign up now. You have the opportunity to go ahead and do that. Interestingly, yes, it is a 0K. So for those of you like me that do not run, feel free to come on out, because it's going to be a great time. It's right near the chamber. You're going to have a great time. It's fun.
Erica, we had somebody call the chamber yesterday. They said, how far do I actually have to go? I said, we're from the starting line to the picnic table.
Exactly.
That's as far as you got to go. All the fun without the run.
Well, and we have some outstanding sponsors that are re-upping and doing it once again. We did it last year. In the midst of COVID, we had some really fantastic companies come out and support us and help this event get off the ground. So we are doing it again, and we are really excited about that. Lake Norman Chrysler Jeep Dodge is our
Ram.
And Ram, our presenting sponsor. And then we also have the range at Lake Norman. That is our
How did you talk
starting.
her into being the president? How did you get her? How did you talk her into that?
Fortunate, very, very fortunate.
Erica, I cannot thank you enough.
Absolutely.
You are an
Happy to be
example
here.
of why people like us need and should be involved in the chamber. Thank you so much for
Thank you for
doing that.
having me. I appreciate the
And we
opportunity.
have our U.S. Senator coming up.
Yes.
We do. You
I
want to do that?
I would love to do that. I am very excited because we have a special message from our North Carolina Senator, Tom Tillis.
Hi, Tom Tillis here. It's an honor to be with you tonight for the second in a series of workshops to honor our small businesses, including those nearby in Cornelius, Davidson, Huntersville, and Morrisville. Chuck, Joe, and Bill have put together a great program of nationally renowned speakers and business talent to be uplifting and inspiring to our small business owners and employees. Small businesses are critical to our economy. Here in North Carolina, small businesses employ 45% of the state's non-farm private workforce. As long as I'm in the U.S. Senate, I'll work hard to ensure our small businesses have resources, workforce, and support needed. I know you'll enjoy hearing from Ms. Heiss this evening, and I want to thank you all for the hard work you do for our community. As always, please don't hesitate to reach out to my office at tillis.senate.gov if you ever need any help. I hope to see you soon.
You know, it is such an honor to have a senator like Tom Tillis give us of his time And this is the second year in a row that he has done that. And last year he did the exact same thing, and it was this boost to know that your North Carolina Center really does support small business and the things you're doing. But Bill, we know him as a neighbor that has been involved with what we're doing for small business, and every time we ask him, he says yes.
He is a big supporter of small business, of entrepreneurs, and our corporate business here at the Lake. He has been very supportive of the Chamber of Commerce, and we're excited to have him as our senator.
Senator Tillis, thank you, sir, so very much for everything you do for us. Okay, Bill, I want another one. Give me another one. Give me another one. Give me another one.
We're going to have another motivational bites from my friend, our friend, Steve Gilligan.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You don't get to say he's your friend.
He is my friend.
How come he gets to be his friend?
Several years ago, I walked into a Taco Bell restaurant in Lubbock, Texas at 9:30 at night, and the young man behind the counter who was leaning on the cash register said, "What's up?" I said, "What's up?" He then replied, "Yeah, you need something?" I said to him, "I want a beef burrito, but I'm a little worried." He said, "About what?" I said, "Since I arrived, you haven't even moved an inch, so I'm not sure you have the energy to go get it." He then said, "Man, you have to understand, I've been here since 6, and I'm burned out." I said, "This morning?" He said, "No, man, the other 6 o'clock." I then replied that you're not burnt out, to which he replied, "How do you know?" I said, and I quote, "You can't burn out because I don't think you've ever been lit." You can't burn out unless you've been on fire. Let me share this with you. When diminished interest collides with a chronic lack of ambition, you can't blame it on burnout. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. It occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands. On the other hand, ambition is not an inborn trait. It can be learned and cultivated, the same as any other positive trait. A lack of ambition can certainly be overcome. Ambition is the desire to escape mediocrity, which, incidentally, is the place where most people choose to live. Ambitious people understand there are no shortcuts to fulfillment, contentment, and living a meaningful life. They know that life is nothing short of hard work, and that to succeed, you must do the heavy lifting. Ambition is about pushing all your chips to the middle of the table and going all in. Prove your family, friends, neighbors, and the world wrong. Master your craft and become one of the best. Your ambition will always drive you forward. Ambition is defined as a strong drive for success. This drive is a common trait in anyone who has created significant success or left any significant mark on the world. Anyone who has moved the world forward in any meaningful way has had ambition. Through sheer will and burning ambition, Jeff Bezos has made Amazon's ambitions seem boundless. Triumphant in online retail, cloud computing, organic groceries, and streaming television, Amazon has redefined limitless ambition. It wasn't a Princeton education that got the job done. It was a burning desire put into action towards a vision. We can easily assume that this kind of burning desire is not common because we don't see it in everyday life. You have to find something that anchors you, something that keeps you looking forward. A dream without ambition is like a car without gas. You're not going anywhere. Never wait for your ship to come in. Always go out and meet it. Talented people hit targets no one else can hit. Ambitious people hit targets no one else can see.
And we are back. You are listening to a phenomenal small business event of the year show, Total Business Wellness, Feel Good, Work Good, Achieve Intentional Success. Bill, when you say it, it makes you feel good. And things like Steve Gilligan are just phenomenal. People like Tom Tillis are absolutely great. The 3 speakers we had last night were just unbelievable, but
it gets
tonight,
better. It gets better.
Tonight, we're going to top it. We have 3 of the most fabulous women you are going to hear. I know all of them. I've met all of them. You know, it's no secret, Bill. People that know us know how much we really appreciate strong women. We just
Absolutely.
do. We you know, and it's funny because after I put this program together, Julie said to me, another strong woman, Joe, you realize that the second evening is full of women. And I said, well, you know, I really wanted to save the best for last. And it was really not in my thought process.
And my board chair.
It's just evident of what the future is coming to. These speakers are women that are changing lives daily. And I cannot tell you how excited I am. Let's get started, buddy.
Well,
let's do it.
Let's talk about one of them. Elizabeth Colen is the journalist with Sheen Magazine and a health strategist who helps executive women transition from stifled, overwhelmed, and overstressed to living their fullest, richest, and healthiest life. Through focus, intention, and transformation, Elizabeth works with you to become fit. Gain confidence, energy, and clarity you need to become the best version of yourself. Elizabeth is a certified life coach that has been voted as one of the top coaches in Charlotte. She has a deep understanding of wellness, not solely on her continual learning, but because of her own weight loss story of losing over 115 pounds. Elizabeth Colen is a certified life coach, certified nutritionist, and certified personal trainer. She's known as Miss Fit One, a health coach, fitness expert, and TV personality. You may have seen her on ABC, CBS, or NBC. She travels the world doing fun fitness segments on morning shows and blogs about healthy bodies, healthy beauty products, and healthy mindsets. The editor and journalist for Sheen Magazine.
You know, I'm going to say a little something about her because I adore her. I met her on the radio show, and the minute she walked into the studio, she gave me a smile, and it was like, wow, this woman's going to be great. And she was just that. She absolutely touched the heart of everybody that was listening on the show. Julie immediately sent me a text and said, she is awesome. We got to get her back again. And I felt the exact same way. We are so lucky to have this woman for such a short moment. She's such a dynamic person. But what makes her so dynamic is what we've been talking about all for the last 2 days. She's so genuine. So everything she's getting ready to tell you, everything that she's getting ready to help you aspire to be, she's already done. She is what she says, and it just shows, and she glows, and I am so excited to have her involved in the show. Take it away, darling. It's all yours.
Wow. I mean, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. You know, Joe, it's an honor to be here. It really is. I feel so special now. Like, that was like amazing. So it goes without saying, you know, I am Miss Fit One. Like you said, thank you. My company is Miss Fit One Lifestyles, and every time people hear the word fit, they think of physical. Don't? Yeah, we do. But I want you to think of it in different ways. When I say fit, I am talking about focus, intentional, and transforming. Now, our mind is such a powerful thing. We heard Tracy talk about it yesterday, and she was dead on. Our mind is powerful. Let me give you a little something. Illness and wellness is on a continuum, right? Let's think of this continuum as a pathway. And people can be heading in either direction depending on their mindset. So think about that for a moment, and let me tell you a little story. My story is one that many of you probably have already heard. I have lost over 115 pounds, and I have maintained it for 16 years. But here's the thing. I used to weigh 247 pounds, and that was, of course, after I lost a little weight. And people ask me, what made you just change your life? How did you lose that weight? What was your aha moment? You know, I would like to say it was when I was a size 24, right? That should have been enough right there to say, I might need to be a healthier person. No, not I. It may have been when my feet would hurt so bad, the bottom of my soles would be blistered. No, that wasn't it either. Even when the doctor told me, you probably need to lose a little weight. Whatever, doctor. That was not the moment. The moment that changed my life started at Church's Chicken. Hello, Church's Chicken. How y'all doing? Listen, I used to eat lunch every day at Church's Chicken. It opened up at 11 o'clock. I was there at 11:30. Hi. I would like my meal, and every day I would get sick. Every day. That should have made me stop right there too, right? That was a moment. Eat better, not go to Church's, one of those things. But no. I used to get so sick from eating at Church's, I couldn't even go back to work sometimes. So I went to the doctor. They was like, Elizabeth, we have to take out your gallbladder. You are so filled with gallstones. Your gallbladder is misshapen. Gallbladder? Removed? I was pretty sure that God didn't give me extra parts. I mean, I didn't have an extra gallbladder to use or a backup elbow. I mean, I need this, right? Oh, the doctor was like, no, you don't. It's very common, very common. We do the surgery all the time. So we'll set you up for surgery, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. What? What? Body parts? I don't think so. Went home, I researched everything. What is a gallbladder? Why do I need it? Da-da-da-da. And I found out that it really is the trash can of your body. So let's think about that. I was almost 33 years old, 32, 33, and I had already filled my trash can. It was overflowing. Yeah, that should have been the aha moment, but it wasn't. I accepted that. I had to get my gallbladder removed. It is very common. I mean, I know several people have gotten it done. I'll survive. The next day, I go in for my surgery, and I had to be weighed on the automobile industry scale. Do you guys know what that looks like? It's a huge platform that you could literally drive cars on, bring cattle up. And I had to stand there to be weighed. I won't let them see me frown. I will not let them see me down. I stepped up there in all my glory. Big, huge red numbers. 2, 4, 7. That was my aha moment. The room went silent. The nurses started, they started cleaning up things. Nobody made eye contact. And I wanted to make everybody feel okay. So I made this joke. I'm gonna lose 100 pounds. Everybody was like, you know, I must have meant it when I said it that time. when I woke up from the surgery, and anybody who has had their gallbladder removed, you know that you have to eat a different diet. You can't eat this, you can't eat that, you can't drink this, you can't drink that. So I said, this is my moment. I took 3 months. I call it rehab because I couldn't be around my friends. I wasn't strong enough. I couldn't even eat dinner with my family because at the time my husband said, I'm not on a diet. I still want fried chicken, not baked chicken. I don't want brown rice. I want white rice. Listen, I understand how you're feeling, but I'm not on a diet. I can still remember my family eating dinner, and I'm upstairs, and I'm crying, and I'm holding myself, and I'm shaking, and I'm moaning because I couldn't even eat with my family. I wasn't even strong enough. What got me through that? My mind is powerful. Listen, what was the difference in those 3 months? For me working out, was it me doing more exercise? Was it me eating better? Well, listen, I worked out every day. I was at the gym every morning at 5:30, all 247 pounds of me. Yet, I did not lose weight. I was on every diet that you could ever think of. I have done them all, Fin, Jenny, Weight Watchers, every one. And yeah, they all worked. For a while, I yo-yoed up and down, up and down, up and down, until this moment. No more. I have to make a change. I have to do this for my kids. I have to do this for me. So, when I think of that whole pathway I was talking about, right? Illness, wellness, continuum. And we travel it, and it's all based on our mindset. I decided at that moment to be fit. Again, fit, focus, intentional, and I was waiting and praying for the transformation. Now listen, we all have moments in our life that we want to make a difference. We want to change something, and we have probably lost so much weight. We probably have gained so much weight. We probably have felt the pain, the stress, the anxiety, the everything. But our mind is the only thing that will get us through. So what I teach, what I do with my clients is definitely mind work. It has to come from the inside out. Let me give you an example. You know when your car has a red light, right? But you don't know what that red light means, so you bring it to the mechanic because, like, what the heck is this red light? What's going on? And the mechanic then plugs it into this machine. Give us a diagnostic, right? This is what's going on. Think of yourself as that car, and your red light is on. What is your red light? Stressed. I can't sleep. I'm so anxious. I'm worried all the time. I'm overeating. I'm over drinking. I can go on and on, but that is your red light, right? Wouldn't it be great if we had a tool that we could plug in and be diagnostic, have a print out of a beautiful diagnostic reading of what your strengths and what your weaknesses are and what's going on? Well, that's what I do. That's what I do. I plug you in to this tool that gives you the whole body diagnostic. You will know your strengths and your weaknesses, and I'm going to turn to you just like the mechanic do. What would you like to work on first? So I leave you with this. Illness and wellness is a continuum. People can be headed in either direction. It's all based on your mindset. Which way are you heading? Thank you, guys.
Bill, now do you see why I say she's absolutely so dynamic?
Yeah, that was inspiring. That really was.
And so this is just the beginning of the day. We were just getting started for our evening. So Elizabeth, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Slide in. I know Bill's kind of scary. Slide in just a little bit.
Hey, Elizabeth.
We just want to talk to you for a couple of minutes. I have not had a chance to talk to you since you were on the radio. So you're doing this only through email. I can't thank you enough for this.
Thank you.
There's something about the connection you gave me and a lot of people on the radio. Again, I want to say it's genuine. Do you find that's the case for everybody, or is Joe just special and connected with you?
Oh, Joe, you're so special.
See, that's why see.
You know, that's true, though. I am what I am, and that is all I can be, right? So whatever you see is what you get. Toyota.
Well, you know, I've been telling people for years, I don't want to learn how to lose weight from somebody that's never ate a Twinkie.
Right.
And let me tell you something. The church is chicken delicious.
Woo!
So I get it.
I was willing to die for it.
I get it. And if you don't understand that real pull, I don't know that you can help me.
Right.
I get it.
I have seen people, though, with the diets you talked about, with the yo, that they go through, they take out a massive amount of weight, and then they put it right back on. And how did you? And what was the process? How long did it take you to? It was 100, you said?
115 pounds.
And how long a process was that for you?
It was about 2 years.
And how many different alterations had you gone through? How many different kinds of diets had you been on before you? I guess you got to reach inside and finally find that discipline.
Right. And here's the thing. It was never a diet. Yeah. It was never a diet. We know what we're supposed to eat, right? We're taught that in, like I told you before, in preschool, right?
Yeah.
Don't they talk about the pyramid, the food thing? Mm-hmm. It was just eating healthier. And we all know fried chicken
and
versus baked chicken. Right. And
we don't need a 5-piece.
Right.
We get a 2-piece.
Right. And we can get it baked.
Right.
You know, and it's really about, is this food going to help me, or is this food going to harm me?
So here's, when a client comes to you, right, how do you find their moment, their why? Because it's theirs.
Absolutely.
How do you help them get there?
I am so happy you asked that. That's a great question, because really it has to come from within. Mm-hmm. And the tool I'm talking about is the Wellness Inventory. It is such an amazing assessment. It is questions that you would think that a doctor should ask you when you go to a physical, right? Because it goes deep. It covers your emotional, your mental, your spiritual, your physical, everything. And it will then print out your strengths and your weaknesses. So there we are able to look at it together and say, all right, where do you want to go? What do you want to focus on?
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's got to be your decision.
Absolutely. I can't say it enough. It has to come from within. I cannot call you 1,000 times. Your husband can't send you. Your wife can't send you. It has to be within. And it's not just for weight loss. A lot of times people say that because that's something physical. That's what they can see.
Mm-hmm. I know a lot of smokers, which is
yes.
It's got to be their decision. You can't make them quit. You can't shame them into quitting. They've got to determine it's their idea and they're going to do it.
That's the same.
I'm going to tell you the same thing that I talked to Tracy about. You know, I lost about 80 pounds.
Yes.
And then I started eating the duds, beans, balls, and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Milk duds, Boston baked beans,
Uh-huh.
gumballs, and Reese's Pieces. and you put that in the combination, it's delicious.
I understand.
Delicious. So I gained about 30 pounds back. Here's the problem. I feel myself continuing to move in that direction, right? So I got to find that again, right? I got to find the moment when I wanted to lose the weight. Talk to somebody that's listening that's been on this up and down, right?
Right. And because we can see the weight, right? This is what we can focus on. How are you sleeping? What is your stress levels?
Well, I got to hang around. Bill.
Right.
You might have solved the problem.
You know.
She's a genius, I tell you, a genius.
I tell you, it's easy. But that's the thing. We always just focus on our weight. But most of my clients is not even for weight, because that's something we can see, but it's usually a very underlining thing. And I always say focus on the process, not the end result.
And you're saying that, and my weight gain and eating the duds, beans, balls, and pieces during the pandemic,
Yep.
I couldn't tell you whether I was going to sell another business tomorrow or ever again.
Right.
My wife going through stress, my son going through stress. So
See?
as she says that, I get it. She is a genius.
Drop mic.
But I think sometimes a lot of that weight putting on, it goes back to the mental state you're in.
Right.
The depression. If you're not happy with yourself, you begin doing things that are not good for you.
Right. So my number one thing I really talk about is self-responsibility and self-love.
Elizabeth, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I can't thank you enough for doing this. I'm going to get you back on the show
Thank you,
again.
thank you.
And I know you're going to blow up on Facebook. Reach out to her. She is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
You have just heard the first speaker, and I'm telling you, it's going to get better. It is absolutely going to get better. And by the time this evening is over with, you know how most people say I'm full of puffery. You know, I mean,
They do all the time.
they
about
do.
you.
I know,
Yes.
and you
Yes.
know, I'm always.
I've been watching you puff.
I am the used car salesman, always selling something. But when this evening is over, you are absolutely going to see why I've been so excited about putting these women together. It is phenomenal, and we're getting ready to do it again. We're getting ready to run up. We're getting ready to one up everybody we have spoken with so far, Bill. You will be floored once you listen to this woman.
Hey, Joe, have you ever felt stuck?
Every day.
Do you have a dream that lies dormant? Do you wish you could have more energy? If you've answered yes, you are in the right place, because if you've answered no, you may be in denial. Our keynote speaker today is Nicole Greer. She is on a mission to energize, impact, and influence individuals to lead a more vibrant life through engaging what is possible and making it probable. She's a certified coach, an entrepreneur, a race car driver. She races to work, races to her clients, races home to love on her family, and tries not to be on a first-name basis with the State Patrol. And he loves the race to win in life and business. Please welcome Nicole Greer.
You know, I have to say something before we send it to her. Wow, how lucky we are to have Nicole. She speaks all over the country. She works all over the country. She taught Julie and I how to do Zoom to talk people all over the country. Every single speaker I have had that's of a national level, Nicole is the person that introduced me to them. Nicole is this woman that is always pushing people a little bit further than they think they should go. And I'm telling you something, we are so lucky to have her. We try and get her on the radio show all of the time. She's so busy, we can't get her. I don't know how we got her for this short period of time. She is the most effective leadership person that I know. She is teaching people how to be leaders, and she coaches it through examples. She is phenomenal. Matter of fact, she's so phenomenal when she's on the radio show, most of the time she's just correcting me. That should tell you a lot. Nicole, thank you so much. Take it away.
Thank you so much for having me here tonight. I am delighted to be here, and I am proud to say I am a small business owner, and I am delighted and honored to be part of the Small Business Week. It is great to be here. So I'm wondering if this very old phrase rings a bell with any of you over the last year. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was an age of wisdom. It was an age of foolishness. It was an era where people believed, and it was an era of incredulity. What I am trying to tell you is that even though this was written about the French Revolution, which happened almost 200 years ago, it just happened to us last year during COVID. And here's the reality, is that we have to think about the words from Charles Dickinson. You know, many people are walking around with COVID still hovering over them. But I'm here to tell you there's two ways that we can approach what's going on. One is we can be out there looking for opportunity, or we can be lamenting and walking around with our head hung low. And the reality is that what every great drama and crisis needs is leadership. In fact, what it really needs is vibrant leadership. Now, you might be thinking, what is leadership? Well, I'll go with John Maxwell's definition, which is influence. But I will add this to it. I will add the idea that vibrant leadership is positive leadership. It is the idea that there are many opportunities out there. We just simply need to think about what we can do instead of what we cannot do. So leaders need to step back, especially right now as we begin to open back up and get back to work, and they need to think about their thinking. And that is what we call metacognition. Now, metacognition is the ability to reflect. And if you look at the top 10 skills, according to the World Economic Forum, metacognition and reflection are at the top of the list. Leaders need to think about what they're doing, what they're saying, how they're behaving, and how they're showing up, because this is impacting and influencing the people around you. I want you to think about the idea that when you walk into a room, people are either going to light up at the idea that you're back in the room or that you're coming in to complain about what's happened for the last year. This kind of influence is like when people walk in and you're a ray of bright light, you're vibrant, or you're like a little ray of darkness. So I want to encourage you to think about the ideas that you can step back and you can set an example. The first thing I ask a leader when I work with them is I ask them this question, a very powerful question. I do coaching, training, speaking, and consulting, but the number one question I ask somebody is, what is it like to experience you? And this is a very important question. A lot of people, when I ask it to them, they have no idea what the answer is. They say, I don't know, I've never thought about that. And that's exactly what we need to do, is really start thinking. When we get that light bulb over our head, that is the moment that we become vibrant. I want to tell you a little bit about how the brain works, okay? So when somebody has a thought, the first thing that happens is the light bulb lights up. Now, the second part of your brain will warn you. It's the amygdala that's back here. And that part of your brain will warn you and tell you, hey, be careful, this might be risky. Things have gone wrong in the past, be careful. But what you want to do is move that thought all the way through your limbic brain, past the emotional response, to a place out here in your prefrontal cortex where you can begin to think positively about what can be done. All of us are on a lifeline. And as was stated earlier by our previous speaker, who was phenomenal, she said we're on a continuum. Well, we are actually moving in one direction called a lifeline. And I'll tell you, there's a day over here where you popped on the planet. And that day was a beautiful day. In fact, I know exactly what it was like. First of all, your mother was relieved. Secondly, when you popped out, somebody held you. Now, even if you have some kind of bad story, you were born in the back of a cab or something like that, there's still somebody who catches the baby. You never see the babies lying around. So the baby pops out, somebody cleans up the baby, wraps it in the cleanest piece of cloth they can find, and they look at that baby and they say, this baby is packed with potential. This baby is practically perfect. This baby has so many possibilities. And then you think to yourself, I've grown past that, Nicole, and I know what's happened to you, right? So we have to think about, where did we lose our possibilities, our potential? Where did it go? I think it went out the window when life comes at us, right? So we had COVID that came at us. It came at us hard. But here's what we can do. Instead of concentrating on this past, today we can have the moment where we change our mind, we change our future. And every great leader who is vibrant does this one thing. They master 3 perspectives. Because I'll tell you, having a proper perspective on life is essential. But there are 3 on your lifeline that you must know and you must master. And the first one is meeting your future self. Everybody I work with is required to set up a vision of what they want to do with their life, what they want to do with their business and their organization. And here's what we want to think about. We want to do an introspective. So if there's the day that we popped on the planet, and over there is the day that we're going to pop off the planet, we have a very limited amount of time. We should all have an incredible sense of urgency about getting our goals together. In fact, do you know that only 10% of adults, according to research, have written down actionable goals that they visit every single month? So you can be in the 10% that goes out to the future and masters an introspective. So I want to challenge you. If you went out to the future and you thought, where do I want my business to be on December 31st, 2020? And then into 2022, right? If we think about going out into the future and we look out, what could it be like? Now, here's my invitation. I want you to make it absolutely fantastic. You can let your imagination run wild. Now, most people are very, very interested in probability and not possibility. But I want to tell you something. Possibility is where it's at. Now, I'm going to mention the characteristics of a particular person all of you know very well, and you'll be able to guess who it is. Now, this person is African American. This person grew up in rural Tennessee. This person was abused as a child, was not raised by her mother, and today is a billionaire. Who am I talking about? None other than Oprah Winfrey. And the reality about Oprah Winfrey is that she dreamed up a great big possibility, and it turned into a reality. So that's what we need to do. We need to think up this big future. Now, when I lived in Maryland, when I first married my husband, Oprah was on TV, on my local TV station. And now she's in my living room, she's on my phone, and she's on my iPad. She is everywhere. Her goal was world domination, and she's achieved it. So we want to think about what we're going to dream up in the future. So think about your business. What could it turn into in the next 9, 12 months, 24 months? It can be anything you want to. Now let's imagine that you've dreamed this up and you've written it out. And here's what the coach will tell you right now is I want you to write it out in a narrative. I want you to tell me a story about your future and about the people that work for you and the location that you're in, whether it's your living room or still in your office with your slippers on, whatever you want. Now what you do is you do a second perspective is you turn around from that future state and you look back to the present. Now this is called a retrospective. Now notice I'm talking about the future right now, but using the word retrospective. Most people think of the word retrospective as going back to the past, but I am actually out in the future, turning around on my lifeline and coming back to the present. Are y'all with me? And when I do that, I'm going to have this incredible thing happen. I'm going to have hindsight become foresight. Now, I'm pretty sure if you live here around Lake Norman that you have been to Lake Norman State Park. And if you haven't, you've got to get yourself there, okay? So we have this beautiful park with this trail that goes all the way along the lake. then it cuts back across the road and brings you back to the parking lot. But you're on that lake trail for about 3.5 miles. It is gorgeous. So make yourself get there. And on that trail, the first time I went out, I'm going out, I'm walking, the sun starts to go down, and I think to myself, am I going the right direction? Did I miss something? Because I had only been out the trail one time. So I picked up my pace, I kept on going down the trail, and eventually I found my way to an end point, turned around, came back. But the whole time I was nervous. I didn't know if I was going to get back before dark. I didn't know if I was safe. All sorts of anxiety came over me, and here's what happens when anxiety comes over you. You have this thing called cortisol start running through your body, and you become fearful and stressed. And that's what happens to business owners when they don't go out to the future and visit it and then come back to the present over and over and over. Edwin Way Teal said, the path is not truly trod. Let me say that again. The path is not truly trod until it is trod both ways. Meaning that as a business owner, you have to go out to the future and you have to figure out what it is you really, really want. And then turn around to the present and think about what is it going to take to do that? Well, I've got to get my marketing straight. I've got to find a who can do the how that I don't know how to do. I've got to figure out where I'm going to put my business, where I'm going to advertise, what my strategies, my systems, and my smarts are going to be. And when I do that over and over and over, I begin to remember the path. So when I go out to the future and I come back, again, I'm like, you know what? I know what to do next. I've been out this path and back. I've been out this path and back, and I know what I'm going to do. Now, when you get back to the present, you're going to take your introspective and your retrospective, and you're going to put it together, and you're going to create a prospective, pro as in propel, as move yourself forward. And that is when you're going to get your plans written down. Now, I'll tell you the second thing that leaders need to do. You have got to talk to the people you lead. Communication, everywhere I go, I talk to teams, I say, how is it that I can help you? We need to work on communication. And while that seems challenging for a lot of people, it's as simple as sitting down and having a conversation about that pathway. This is where we're going. This is what we're going to do. This is what I've dreamed up in my imagination, and I need you to help me. You know, one time I was being coached, because every coach should have a coach, or I think they're a hypocrite. I got to be honest. So I have a coach, and I was sitting with my coach, and I was complaining about my team members. Have you ever done that? And so I was talking about their motivation and their get up and go and their ability to get things done. And my coach looked at me and cracked a smile. And I thought, what are you smiling at? And he says, I think you're the problem. I said, what? I'm the vibrant coach. I don't have a problem. He says, you've got a big problem, lady. I said, well, what is it? He says, this. And I've told this to Joe many times. So I'm telling it to you, but it's really for Joe. So here's what it is. He said, uncommunicated expectations are a premeditated opportunity to be disappointed. I'm going to say it again because I messed it up the first time and Joe needs to hear it again. Here we go. Uncommunicated expectations are a premeditated opportunity to be disappointed. I mean, when he told me that, I was like, he's exactly right. Now here's the thing. We sit around and we wonder, why don't people think like we think? Why don't my people understand what I'm trying to do? Because we haven't sat them down. We haven't taken them out to the introspective, explained what the future can hold, demonstrated excitement about it, connected the dots back in the present with the future. Like, here's the deal. Our employees need to understand how their daily work results in a really great vision for everybody. So you got to connect the dots. Because you see, any message that we give, it is either supporting growth or it is silencing it. It is either supporting growth or silencing it. So here's what I think. Too often we settle. We allow things to unfold. We get up every day, we throw our little feet over the side of the bed, and we pad our way into the bathroom. I don't know about you, that's the first place I head. I pad my way into the bathroom, I look in the mirror, and I think, oh. Is that all I got to work with? But it's not the exterior. It's really what a vibrant leader is, somebody who's got the lights on, somebody who is thinking about the future, somebody who is using their brain and communicating to those around them how we can get things done. I'm going to tell you a little story about my career, because I had a vibrant leader in my life, and her name was Nancy Freeman. And I don't know if any of you know Nancy Freeman, but she actually lives on Lake Norman. And when I met Nancy Freeman, she was in Raleigh, North Carolina, and she was my regional manager. You know, today I wanted to double check myself, and small businesses are categorized by having less than 500 employees. That's what they told me on the internet. I don't know if that's true. Bill will tell if it's true or not. But I looked it up and I thought, well, you know, the company I worked for was a small business, and it was called Summit Properties, and it owned apartment communities all up and down the East Coast. Bill McGuire, who also lives on Lake Norman, was one of the founders of the company, and it was the most fabulous place I ever worked in my entire life. And I'll tell you why. Because the leaders communicated. Well, as it would happen, I was a pretty vibrant gal. I always had the lights on, lots of ideas, wanted to do well, had a lot of giddy up and a lot of energy, and so they promoted me to manager. Well, this really was a mistake, because I didn't know how to manage a multi-million-dollar apartment community. But they gave me the opportunity, and they gave me Nancy Freeman. Well, I was working one day, and the phone rings, and this is back where we had a phone with a cord, and I answered the phone, and I said, hello, thank you for calling Hamilton Ridge Apartments. And she says, this is Nancy. I said, hey, Nancy. You know, I got a little nervous because she's my regional director, and she says, hey, I'm coming to your office on Monday at 8. We didn't open till 9. I said, 8? She says, I'll be there at 8. Do you like Egg McMuffins? I said, well, yeah. She says, okay, I'll bring you one. It's all right. So Nancy Freeman shows up at 8 o'clock on Monday morning. I was there at 7:30, getting everything ready and looking great, vacuumed the floor. She comes in, she sits down, and she starts communicating to me, you do not know what's going on. You do not understand how this thing works, how property management works, how a P&L works. You don't get it. And I said, you're right. And she said, I'm going to help you. And I said, all right. So she sat down and she did what's called open book leadership. She opened up the P&L and she went through line by line and explained to me the chart of accounts. She says, this is how you make money. She says, then you have all this other money that goes out. And the bottom line here is net operating income. Your job, sister, is to make that number as big as possible. What ideas do you have? And I said, not any right this moment, but I'm going to work on that. And she came every Monday for about 6 Mondays until I had an introspective of what my P&L was going to look like, what my part in it was going to be, how I was going to take Kenny, my service manager, and put him to work on the problem, and get my leasing agents excited about selling. And maybe you have the same thing going on in your business. You've got people who need to sell. You've got people who need to do the operations. And you need to figure out what needs to go on with the P&L. So I ate my Egg McMuffin for 6 weeks. I came up with tons of ideas. I came back to the present, and I worked on them one by one. Now, here's the cool story, is that property had never been in the black. But by the time we had been running it, Kenny and myself and my 2 leasing agents, it was in the black. We got it out of the red. We got it going the right direction. As my daddy would say, we got some butts in the seats. We got people in the apartments. And so we did a great job, and we didn't settle. So I want to encourage you to think about what is possible because, you know, truth be told, Nancy told me later, I didn't think you could do it. So we got it done. So almost 20 years after that, a gentleman named Jack Slack wrote a book, and the book is called The Great Game of Business. And that's my tip I'm going to leave with you tonight, is I want you to think about reading The Great Game of Business by Jack Slack. It's about open book management, and Nancy Freeman was the one that really inspired it. So my question for you is, what is your next right step? When you get up tomorrow morning and you're going to communicate with your people, with your customers, the people that come to you for advice and for inspiration, are you going to be a leader, a vibrant leader who has thought about what it takes to get the job done? You've got an exciting story of the future, and you've got plans to let it unfold in a way that will be magical in the next 12 months. So thank you so much for having me here to talk about business and talk about being a vibrant leader, one that plans their future and communicates with their people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicole. Bill, I mean, it's just obvious. These women are a lot smarter than you and me.
I'm not going to dispute that. Very, very inspiring.
It really is. Absolutely. You hit that's the word I want to use. These women are very inspiring. And Nicole, thank you so much for being with us. Nicole has to say things twice around me. She knows that. And I appreciate that. I really do. Because it takes me a minute to hear what she's saying. Then I need to hear it again so I can actually think through it. So here's a statement that you made that just I mean, cut me to the quick.
Okay, let's hear it.
What is it like to experience me?
Yes, this is actually an
scary.
intervention for you tonight. We're having a little intervention.
But if we ask ourselves that question, it really is very challenging. I mean, have you thought about that?
I try not to.
Yeah, I could tell you a quick story about that. Do you want to hear that?
Yes, I do.
I had a client that was given to me. You know, here's the thing about coaching. Sometimes I get the high potential, and that's the funnest person to work with. The person that they say, this one has potential, let's rock it. But then sometimes I get people who have something they need to work on, and so they're given to the executive coach. So I got a gentleman that came to me, and I'm going to call him Bob. And so Bob comes to my house, my home office, and he sits with me, and I say, first question always out of the gate, so tell me, what is it like to experience you? And he says, I don't care.
I think I know that guy.
What? Yeah, right. We got some clients like that.
I know that person.
Yeah, and so I said, well, what do you call a guy that doesn't care? And he goes, I don't know, arrogant? And I said, bingo. And that's why you're here. And so then we went into a whole process of talking about, you know, what happens when you walk around the world in an arrogant state, you know, right. and how can we turn that around, you know, and really I think what happened was, you know, he was an all-star salesperson. And he did well out in the field, but then when he came back to the office, he didn't treat people the same way, you know, and it's just a matter of character. So I think a lot of times that question helps people examine their character, right. and character is really what counts in business.
So when I talk to you, you're like this psychiatrist. Do you find that is part of what you do?
No, I got to say a big no.
And character traits seem to be so important for you to make these people better leaders. That surprises me.
Well, here's the thing. If I had a whole room full of people or a whole audience out there and I asked them, and this might offend some of you.
Oh, offend my mentee. I don't mind. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you know, if I said to a whole group of people, hey, are you all men and women of integrity? Everybody would say what?
Yes.
Yes. And I would say, No, you're not. Because here's the thing about integrity. It's not a consistent state that you're in. It comes and it goes. And it's that part about metacognition. What is it like to experience me? I have to do that reflection piece every day because I got to look at my day and I got to say, where did I, like I like to say, be vibrant? Where did I light up the room, get people thinking, motivate the situation, push things forward, communicate positively, and where did I fall down? And we know we all fall down, right? And so it's when we fall down. Now, the more conscious I am of the fact that I've fallen down that day, it puts me on my toes for the next day. And there's a little process you can do called the examine at the end of your workday.
Well, let's talk about falling down because this has been the toughest year. I mean, I don't know that I've ever experienced it in my lifetime, and I hope I don't again. It has been a really bear of a time. We talked with Tracy last night about the kids coming through this, but many of our business, some of our businesses had the best year ever.
Yes.
Most did not. What do you say to that business owner that had their most challenging year, barely hanging on? They see the light at the end of the tunnel now. What do you say to them tonight?
What I would say to them is to do exactly what I shared earlier, which is, you've got to allow yourself to not lament about what's going on, but to go out to the future and say 12 months from now, what is it that I want to have happen in my business, right? And again, make it fantastic. Become Oprah if you can, make it really big. But then what you do is you turn around back to the present. You said, what would it take to get there? What would it take to get there? And you say, well, it would take me doing this. I would need to put pants on and get out of my slippers and get to the next Lake Norman Chamber event. And all the things that you need to do. It will start to become crystal clear. Now, you can also work in another way. There's a little tool that I got from a gentleman named Dan Sullivan, and he has a huge coaching business. He's one of my coaches as well. And in his business, he talks about doing a strategy circle. And he talks about the fact that your obstacles are the raw material for the strategies you need. So let's say that you want to grow your business by $100,000 this year. Now, here's the thing. Where's your mind go immediately? To probability. Okay? Like, notice how the brain works. The brain kicks in and goes, be careful. That might be too big. You might want to be careful. So what we need to do is we need to say, okay, that is possible. I could do that. Now, what are the things in my way? So if your tendency is to, half glass full, you can say, these are all the things in my way. Now, I would encourage you to be exhaustive. Think of everything in your way. Write every single thing down. And then every obstacle, you sit with it and you try to create a strategy to overcome it. You've got to, eat the elephant one bite at a time. And I would say this too about your business. There are so many people trying to help small businesses. Crazy. I don't know about you fellas, but during COVID, I got my PPP. I went and got all the things I needed to do because I thought, nobody's going to do it for me.
That's right. That's right.
So you have to have willingness. And the last thing I will say is talking about character. Willingness is the greatest character trait there is. It is the one that makes all other character traits possible. You can't be courageous unless you're willing to be courageous. You can't be empathetic unless you're willing to be empathetic. And there's a little book, How to Get Everything You Ever Wanted. I totally suggest it. Little old book from the 70s by Mike Hernacki. And in there he says this: willingness is the ability to do what needs to be done without reservation, refusal, or judgment. Just do it.
So, Nicole, here's the thing that puzzled me about your business, right? You're excellent at it, but my mind is thinking you help so many Fortune 100 companies make better leaders out of people that are already there. And I think, how bizarre these people aren't already leaders in the positions that they hold. It seemed like after the fact they realized, oh, we promoted Bill. Maybe we better go get Nicole to teach him how to do his job. Am I interpreting that wrong?
Yeah.
Because that's what it seems like's happening here.
Yeah. No, I don't teach anybody how to do their job. I teach this thing, and I do not like what they call this, Bill. They call them soft skills. but they're really very
Nothing soft about being a good leader.
No. It really, it takes that willingness, which is like grit, right? And there's a lot of books out there about grit. And the thing about it is that, you know, you have to be emotionally intelligent, right? That I would say, if I was working with a leader that's having problems with their team, that's probably the biggest problem. And so emotional intelligence is misunderstood, but there's 4 buckets to it. The first bucket is self-awareness, and that's why I asked, what is it like to experience you? I guess I'm arrogant. Okay, well, if you're arrogant, how many people are you making angry in a day? It's emotions. And the truth of the matter is, you can't move a team forward unless they feel good. You can whip them and they'll trot along, or you can make them feel really good and excited about their work. That's why I said you've got to have that unbelievable vision statement, and it has to be a narrative, a story you tell. And that's another soft skill that is huge in leadership, is storytelling. I'm so excited. I got to tell you something really exciting. I work with a local cable television company, and they have women inside their organization. And so I got chosen to do a mentoring program for WICT, Women in Cable Television. And so
Who knew there was such an association?
Well, I'm so excited, and I'm going to be their coach, and there's going to be mentors and mentees. And
Mentees.
A mentee. Do we have one?
Oh, right. They couldn't have picked a better mentor.
That's right. And so I'm going to be working with them. And so, like, storytelling is one of the topics that we're going to touch on. And all of those women are going to write down their stories, because you need to write down your stories and share them, because they give hope. I want to tell you one other thing about, like, storytelling is I had another leader, and he is a president of a financial institution. And I told him, I said, he's very much introverted. And I said to him, I said, your people want to get to know you. And he says, why? And I said, because they want to know how you got your job. How do you become president of this financial institution? They want to know your story. He says, it's not very exciting. Well, I sit him down. I ask him lots of powerful questions, because that's what a coach does. And when I asked him all of his powerful questions, I wrote out his stories, and then I gave him an assignment. I said, now I want you to go back. I want you to put some more meat on these bones, and then I want you to tell me how you were feeling, what you were thinking, and who was impacted at these different stories. Who did you help along the way? What major strategies did you get in place that resulted in, the big fat NOI line, right? And so after he did this, he's an introverted person, a humble person, much sweeter than you, Joe. And so
Nicole knows me so well.
And so, he really leaned into, and I think you've taken my assessment that I love so much, the tilt. He's a humanity guy. He just loves people, and they work like dogs for him because he's a nice guy. But he leaned into the other side of the model, which is courage. And he began to open his mouth and tell his story. And his financial organization is changing all sorts of things. And he's not even asking. He's just telling his story. This is what we did when this happened in financial, and this, when it happened in 2008 with the housing thing, and blah, blah, blah. He tells how he overcame all these things. Now, he's passing down wisdom. Remember when I said it was an era of wisdom, or, or it was a good time or a bad time? I mean, you have to tell people about the good times and the bad times so we can learn all your stories and we don't have to experience it ourselves. So storytelling, emotional intelligence, change management, all that stuff. It's so important.
Bill, Nicole is, and I tell people this, a true coach, and a true coach is effective. Mm-hmm. It's not just talking, right? You can tell she really helps her clients in a major way. That is much rarer than you think, because I know a lot of coaches, and one of the reasons why I just absolutely adore Nicole is because I know she is exceptional. And when I try and explain to her, when she taught me the whole, IQ, EQ thing, I told her I was a genius. I was positive she wouldn't go for
He
it.
could not present his Menses, certificate that he was in the group,
He's a puffer. He's a good son.
Yeah.
Nicole.
Yeah. My daddy said, oh, well, I won't tell you what my daddy said.
I don't want to hear what your daddy thinks of me. That's not going to work. So, I cannot thank you enough for doing this. Thank you. You are so difficult to nail down and get on the radio show. I was hoping that we could get you here for today. It is such a treat for the people listening to this. If somebody wanted to reach you, how could they do that?
It's really easy. Just visit www.vibrantcoaching.com and you will find me, my phone number, and everything you need to do. And I will call you.
Vibrant means positive.
Absolutely. And the light bulb is on. I'm really thinking about what's going on and what it is like to experience me as a leader.
I don't think I want to experience me. I got to be honest with you.
Well, I can agree with that.
Having been somebody that has experienced him.
We've experienced it all night.
Well, enough.
That's
Nicole,
enough.
thank you so much.
I got to go. Bye.
Thank you, Mama. And so you've now witnessed number 2. It is no doubt, or should not be any doubt in your mind, that this is an evening that you're going to remember. You're going to want to go back and listen more and more to these women. And Bill, I know it's almost impossible to believe, but we're getting ready to top Nicole. I know. First it's Elizabeth, then it's Nicole, and now you're getting ready to talk with somebody that is just phenomenal. Let's get started.
Well, Dr. Rebecca Heiss, Unpacking the Paradoxes of the Way Humans Think is Dr. Heiss's life work. Her research has been designated transformative by the National Science Foundation. Rebecca taught at South Carolina Governor's School for Science and Mathematics and later was recruited to be among the founding faculty members to develop a startup school to nurture entrepreneurial minds and approach learning through impact. She's the founder and CEO of Lucidity, a continuous 360 review app providing user ongoing fearless feedback and challenging them to grow in self-awareness. Rebecca's book, Instinct, has just been released, and we have a copy back here.
I do.
Yep,
I
yep.
do.
And I got to tell you, Rebecca, he has turned the corners, he has highlighted it, he has made notes in it, and he said he's going to let me borrow it, although I will get my own copy.
Okay,
Rebecca.
super. I'm glad to hear it.
So before Rebecca talks, let me tell you something. We are so grateful to have Rebecca. She's very difficult. She is absolutely one of the top speakers in the country right now, and funny and entertaining, inspiring and smart. And like when I say smart, Bill, I mean like Dr. Smart. You understand that, don't you?
Light years above us.
Light years above us. We are so lucky to have her. I have read this entire book. I have marked it up. Anybody that is interested, I'm going to have a 45-minute interview with her tomorrow on Local Biz Now, and it is a great book, and I just want people to sit back, get some popcorn, because you had Elizabeth, you had Nicole, and we're going to top it off with absolutely one of the smartest women that I have been able to be in contact with the entire year. Rebecca, please take it away.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so much for that introduction. Is just a little humbling, actually. And I know Nicole personally. I cannot say I'm going to top Nicole, but I will give it my best shot. I am so honored to be here with you all today. So thank you for allowing me to join you and share a little bit about what I call fearless leadership. So let me give you an introduction to me that you might not have heard. And yes, it is true, I'm a doctor, but I am not the useful kind of doctor. I'm a PhD. I study stress physiology, but I didn't always want to go that route. That is me. Now, you guys don't know me probably well enough to laugh, but please, I want to give you permission to do so. That is me as an 8-year-old, and by golly, I know exactly who I am and what I want to be when I grow up. And no, it is not a farmer. It is a professional speaker. I love the theater. I love the stage. I want to be on it so badly I can almost taste it. The small problem is that I grew up in a really small town in upstate New York. So not a whole lot of theater opportunities there. So I did the next best thing. I joined my local 4-H. And in local 4-H, you can enter these public speaking competitions. So I did. I entered my citywide competition. And you guys, I won. Oh, no big deal though, because I did mention I'm from a really small town. I think I was the only competitor. But it made me feel good, right? I got to go to county now, and I'm excited because in county there's some other competitors, and I'm a little nervous about this, but I step up there, I give it my best, and guys, imagine my surprise when they call my name number one. I am feeling like the top of the world because, man, I already know where I'm headed. So now I'm going to state, and this is a big deal. I'm starting to get a little nervous because suddenly it's not just me that knows my dream. It's my parents. It's my teachers. It's my friends, my family. The whole community starts talking about Rebecca, the public speaker, right? My whole identity has gotten tied to this thing that I do. And so now I'm really scared. So the day of the competition rolls around. What do you think happens? I don't win. I don't lose either. I actually never show up. I'm so nervous about the possibility of letting people down, letting myself down, failing, that I played sick the day of the competition. So my question to all of you listening tonight is, where are you playing sick in your own life? In a relationship? In your business? In your community? Where are you not showing up fully? Just so you'll always have that excuse in the back of your head, like I did. Well, if I had, I probably would have won. So many of us go through life letting our fears hold us back from fully living. But we have the power to take back control over our fears, to become superheroes again of our own existence. The small problem here is that if you've ever watched a superhero film, you'll know that the origin story is a little bit painful. And so that's where we have to start tonight. The painful origin story that we all share. It's this one. Are you ready? We all have lousy brains. I'm not trying to insult you. I've got a lousy brain too. It's just that our brains aren't built for this world. They're built for this one. It's a world where our ancestors lived. And the environment was pretty sparse and scarce and dangerous, and there were literal tigers around every corner, but that's not the world we live in today, right? The world we live in today, well, you look around, we've got incredible technology and populations have increased to 8 billion other individuals. It's an amazing, safe, abundant environment. There's just one small problem. Our brains haven't kept up. Biology doesn't increase at the rate of technology or populations. It's really slow. So unfortunately, biologically, our brains are still stuck way back here, living in the Stone Age. We've got Stone Age brains trying to process this modern world. And the big problem with having a Stone Age brain is, well, information's still coming at us really fast in this modern world, at a rate of about 400 billion bits per second. How do we juggle all of this? As business owners, as families, as leaders, how do we do this? Especially when our conscious brain can only process about 2,000 bits per second. What that means, if you want to do the math with me right now, is that 99.9999999% of the time, we're operating from the stories, shortcuts, instincts of our subconscious brain. A brain that operates mostly on fear. Unfortunately, those fears prevent us from fully living. So we are here to take back our fear. What do you guys think? What's the number one fear in America? Whew, there's a lot, aren't there? A whole bunch. We could talk about COVID. That's been a big fear. Small businesses right now are really struggling. Oh my gosh, big fears. Financial insecurity, rejection, failure. Any of those would make excellent answers. The number one fear survey says is snakes. Snakes? Yeah, this is not exactly the most logical thing to be afraid of, right? This doesn't make any sense. In fact, well, it does make sense, though, when we remember that we've got a Stone Age brain. And for our ancestors, that was something that was a real threat. We're not wandering around the Costco parking lot, dodging snakes today, but in our brains, Now, if we're conscious, cognitive thinking beings, which I like to think we all are, what should our number one fear be? I'd argue it's this. No screams of terror out there? What? Why not? the number one thing we die of is heart disease. That should look like the laser beam of an AK-47 pointed directly at our hearts. It should be terrifying. But man, it looks delicious, doesn't it? I don't know about you, but I'm gonna get one of these after I finish because I could use some Wait a second. Why does our brain crave things that kill us? That's not particularly helpful, is it? I mean, our brain should be craving kale, and kale does not taste like that. Oh yeah, once again, it's because our brains aren't built for this world. Our brains don't recognize that we can go down and get 5,000 calories for $5 in under 5 minutes. They're still saying our brains are going, well, we gotta layer down the fats and sugars. We have to survive this cold, harsh winter that we know is coming. Wait a second, that's what thermostats are for. Unfortunately, our brains have not caught up to the modern world, and we bring that into our businesses as well. So imagine back in Stone Age days, maybe it was your job to go out and pick the berries. So you're out and having a lovely day, just picking berries, lovely day, and you hear a little rustling behind you, just a little movement in the bushes. Maybe your eyes pick up a little peripheral vision there. What should you immediately do? No, like run, get out of Dodge, right? You at least need to look and check to see what that is, because it's probably a tiger, a snake, a thing that's gonna get you. Now, luckily, today's safe, modern environment, we don't have anything like that that's pulling our attention and dinging in our what? Oh, right. And our brain, every time there's a ping, there's a ding, there's that thing that coming in, we're like, oh my gosh, I gotta do that thing that immediately is a snake, it's a tiger, it's a... No, it's not, it's Kathy. We like Kathy, but our brains don't know that, because our brains fall first to fear, because it's fear that kept us alive. Unfortunately, we don't rise to the level of our expectations. We fall to the level of our training, and often that training gets us into trouble because we stay afraid of things that aren't actually really threatening anymore in the modern environment. So tonight, I wanted to cover 2 fears that I think are relevant for everyone. Are you ready for them? Rejection and failure. Now, both of these fears are real. I mean, I don't know anybody that's like, yeah, I love getting rejected. Failure is my favorite. No, they're terrifying for good reason. Because for our ancestors, if you got kicked out of the tribe, you died. So still to this day, our brain's going, whoa, 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 whoa. You got to make sure everybody likes you around here. Same thing with failure. If you didn't bring home enough meat, you died. If you failed, these were real, serious consequences. But today, in the modern environment, this abundant, safe space that we live in, we need to get a hold of these fears in order to become the best leaders that we can be. So I want to start with our fear of rejection. So I know we've heard this about a bazillion times, right? You're supposed to exercise discomfort, lean into discomfort, get comfortable in the discomfort. What does that even mean? I got really curious about this, and at the brain level, it's pretty clear, because the brain lives in 2 distinct worlds. Here, where everything is going exactly as it always has been. It's safe, we like it, we know the patterns, we feel good about it. Over here, we dip our pinky toe into discomfort, like, I don't know, the last year and a half, and our brain leaps from perfectly safe and happy to, oh my God, we're gonna die! Whoa, 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 brain. This is not, whoa. Just a little bit of discomfort does not equal death. But our brains don't know that. Our brains have this really important shortcut that our ancestors had, which was a little bit of discomfort, like you're a little bit cold or a little bit hungry, means death is right on the heels. Today, most of life doesn't take place in perfect safety or imminent death. There's a whole lot of gray area in between. And that's what our brains need training for. Because our brains don't even recognize that there's this whole middle ground where most of life occurs. It's why today, if you want to, you can go and you can have yourself a little stress response for no particular reason. Try this. Tomorrow, when you go up and you get your cup of coffee, go to your favorite local shop to get a nice cup of joe, order that delicious latte exactly as you like it, and just before you pay, lean in and say, yeah, could I get 10% off? I promise you, You are going to have a full-on stress response. Your heart's going to pound. You're just going to start breathing heavily. You might sweat a little bit. What is going on? You're asking for a discount. No, you're about to get rejected. Your brain is going, we're going to die. We're going to die. She's going to say no, and then we're going to die. So your barista says no, and you pay your $10.99 or whatever you pay for coffee, and you walk out the door, and nothing bad happens. And in fact, what you've done there is you've trained your brain to recognize, oh, interesting. I had a stress response, and I didn't die today. Cool. Then tomorrow, you'll go out, you'll grab your book on the street corner and start just reading aloud, some poetry maybe, or singing a little as you go. And people are going to pull their kids to the opposite side of the sidewalk because who is this weird person? Oh, my goodness. And it'll be fine. Nothing bad will happen. But I promise you, you're probably going to have another stress response. And then once again, your brain will record, interesting, I had a stress response and I didn't die today. The more we actively seek these safe forms of discomfort, the more when discomfort finds us, and we're not actively seeking it, the more we can stay in this calm space going, okay, yep, I feel this stress coming on. I understand this because, hey, brain, look back. See all those references that you have when you had this stress response and you didn't die? Great. I need you to stay here, right here in this frontal lobe with me, where we can make conscious cognitive choices that as business owners and leaders, we are absolutely having to make every single day. This is the same kind of training that we give to Navy SEALs. It's called stress inoculation. We ask them to do a task, perfectly safe, but it's going to cause a stress response. And then once they acclimatize, we turn it up a little bit. So to me, I think we should probably get started on this training like now, right? We can't wait. Look, life is going to continually throw stressors our way, so let's start training our brains now to deal more consciously with the stressors that we know are coming down the line. You guys in? Here's what I need. I want all of us, no matter where you are, to put on your boogie shoes because we are about to do a 10-second dance party. That's right. Right there at home, just like open the blinds, let everybody see. Here's the point. There's no music. You can't be wrong. Just give me your very best boogie. So like 10 seconds. Come on, let's go. Boogie, boogie, boogie. I know it's got to look a little weird, but here's the thing. I'm having fun. I don't know about you. Stop. Okay, a couple things to note. One, you're probably smiling. If you just did that with me, you're probably smiling, which means, that wasn't so bad. And you didn't die. Huge win. All right, so now the challenge is this. Joe, just you. I'm joking, buddy. We all just got to do that together, so we feel safe in that crowd. But often, as leaders, as business owners, we have to step into that discomfort alone. And that's a really scary space to be. But let's just say, Joe's like, all right, I'll do it. And he comes up and he gives his very best boogie. And I'm so sorry, Joe, but you are terrible. He's bad. He's really, really bad. But he does it. How do we all feel about Joe? Right? Bravo. He's brave. How courageous. What if he comes up and he boogies and he's good? Once again, we're like, wow, bravo, positive emotions. So what is it that stops us? That stops you, Joe, from getting up here and boogieing? Oh, hey, fear of rejection, right there. Listen, if we are going to kick you out of this tribe for dancing poorly, you just need to find yourself a better tribe. This is the point. We have an opportunity to choose our own tribes. So let go of that fear of rejection. In fact, I want to offer you a challenge. There's 30 items up there. All things that are safe forms of discomfort, but they're probably going to elicit pretty major stress responses for you. And when you do them, and you don't die, you're all the more prepared for when that stressor finds you, and you're not ready for it. So, tomorrow, go ask for a tour of a restaurant's kitchen, or ask for an opinion about your shoes from a stranger. Anybody like my shoes? Not that hard. All right, so that will take care of your fear of rejection. If you are actively seeking that discomfort, you'll know what to do when discomfort finds you. Which leaves only failure. Now, how bad is failure? It can't be that bad, right? So I am not a race car driver, despite that image of me that makes me look that way. My husband, however, has been driving cars for 20 years. He loves racing. I'm like, I don't know, I don't get it. Like, you drive fast in a circle, whatever. He's like, Beck, you just need to try it. I was like, okay, all right, I'll do it. So we had an opportunity to have a little race weekend. I was like, all right, I got this. Let me show you how I can do this. So here it is. This is me driving. And you can see me here. My husband's in front, and the instructor is in front of him. You know, I'm feeling pretty confident. You can see it's, what, 11:52 in the morning, so I've been driving now for, shoot, at least the last 3 hours. So I'm going, you know, this isn't so hard, guys. As a matter of fact, I think I can take you boys. Let me go ahead and pass you on this corner. Here we go. Yeah. The video is muted here because there are a few choice words that I might have said in the moment. This is how I spent most of the day. Now, I'll tell you, I was not particularly pleased in that moment because I got out of that car and I was like, whew, I'm right back here again. Immediately, I'm that little girl going, I don't want to be that loser. I can't lose my status. Oh my gosh, I have to prove my value. You don't even know. I can't be wrong. I gotta win. And this one, I don't want to look foolish. When we're talking about failure, most of the time we're talking about external failure, this type of failure. I don't want to look bad. I gotta look like I know what I'm doing out there, don't I? But the reality is, this is just a form of comparison. I was a loser, I thought, because, well, my husband was obviously winning. I was being defeated. He was having the success. I must be wrong. This external failure doesn't actually serve anyone. Instead, I did not want to be that little girl again, because that little girl had the only kind of failure that really matters. This one, a core failure. A core failure is the compromising of your own values, worth, and promise. That's what the 8-year-old did when she didn't show up for that state competition. So I had a big decision to make. I'm sitting there really angry, really upset, kind of like crying those hot tears of shame. Like, I'm fine, I'm great, it's good. Because everybody else is having a good time. But I'm now a little bit upset. And I'm leaning against the fence post, and an instructor comes up. And he leans up against the post with me, and he's like, you know, Beck, there's 2 types of drivers out there. He says, there's drivers like your husband, and he's pretty good. And I was like, you know what, I don't need this right now, right? Because I'm stuck in comparison mode. But then he goes on, and he's like, but he's never going to be great. I was like, oh, say more. He's never going to be great until he does what you just did there. Until he pushes that car too hard, too fast, and spins out like that, he'll never know how fast he can go or how far he can push that car. You have to keep failing. I was like, great, okay. Well, that means that I must be the good kind of driver, huh? And he looked at me and he was like, no. Now, drivers like you, they usually quit. And he walked away. Core failure. I had a choice to make. Over his shoulder, he shouted, he's like, oh, one more word of advice. When you get back in the car, just drive your own freaking car. Quit chasing everybody else. It's so easy for us to get caught up in this idea that everybody else knows what they're doing, and I have to prove my value, I have to prove my worth because I don't want to look bad. We have what I call first-time fears. Now, when we're little, we don't have this. We're looking around and Johnny and Susie, and we're all falling off our bike together. It's fine. But at some point in time, some age we've all hit, we look around and we just are expected to know everything. At least that's the story that we tell ourselves. Well, you should know how to do this. You should know how to drive a race car. Why? It's the first time I've done it. Shoot, I mean, listen, there's 15-year-olds making billions of dollars on TikTok, for God's sakes. What have I done with my life? When we get stuck in these first-time fears, we don't recognize that, in fact, a failure is just a not yet moment. If I truly want to be a race car driver, great, okay, I'm not ready yet. What's the next thing that I need to do if my goal truly is to beat my husband? When we do this, we start to change the patterns in our brains, because our brain believes if we don't win, we die. Well, no, not anymore. Today, if we don't win, we just have an opportunity to learn something. And this is gold. So many of us believe we have to be superheroes. We have to show up completely invulnerable. We have to know it all. We have to have all of the successes just lined up. And the reality is, well, that would make you Superman. But even Superman had vulnerabilities. He spent his whole life running away from kryptonite. What if the story had been different? What if instead of racing away from kryptonite, Superman had said, world, I really like saving you and jumping over tall buildings and single bounds and all of that, but I have a weakness. If you guys could just watch my back when there's kryptonite, you could help me out. I'd really appreciate that. If Superman had flaunted his kryptonite rather than running from his weakness, he'd owned it. Not only does he empower himself, he empowers his entire team. Think about this. Wonder Woman could have come in anytime there was kryptonite and said, "Oh, Superman, don't worry. I got your back. Kryptonite doesn't affect me." We're so scared of looking like a failure that so infrequently we don't show up for ourselves by just being ourselves. And yet the science shows that this is one of our most valuable things that we can do. It's known as the Pratt effect. I've updated it. I call it the Jennifer Lawrence effect because, look, we all know and love Jennifer Lawrence, right? When we love her because, well, she's a great actress, right? And because she gaffes all the time. She says things she's not supposed to. She falls in red carpet events, and instead of getting up and being like, "Oh, that never happened," she owns it. She rolls around. She laughs at herself. And we like her all the more for it because we see her humanity. When the Pratt effect was first studied, they had two separate conditions. In one condition, an interviewee would walk in and would answer questions with 90% accuracy. Really good. And then he'd leave. And in the second condition, the interviewee would walk in and he would answer questions with 90% accuracy. Really good. And just before he left, he'd spill a little bit of coffee in his lap. Just little, oh, whoops, silly me. And walk out the door. Guess who got hired? Coffee dude. Guess who was rated as more likable? Coffee dude. Guess who was rated as more trustworthy, higher leadership potential? Coffee dude. Coffee dude. When we show up as ourselves, when we flaunt our kryptonite, we're far more powerful. So it's actually great to just be a human. We don't have to be so afraid of being rejected or of failing. But we do have to train our brains to recognize this new reality. And this is where the good news comes in, because the good news is that our brains are really trainable. And we know this because do you remember the first time that you drove a car? Oh man, your hands are 10 and 2 and you're looking all around. You're like, oh, speedometer, pedestrians, there's street signs. How do I do all of this? And if you drove today, one hand on the wheel, leaned back, adjusting your podcast, talking on your cell phone, screaming at the kids in the back, you're not even paying attention. That's awesome! Because what that means is that you've trained your subconscious brain to drive for you. If you can train your subconscious brain to do a complex and ever-changing task like driving, you can certainly train it to override stories and shortcuts and instincts that are no longer serving you. Here's the one piece that I want you to pay the most attention to this entire talk. It's this. Remember in your training that your brain is powerful, really powerful. So make sure you're asking yourself, what is the story that I'm telling right now? Because the stories that you tell yourself change who you are. Hands down, my favorite research of all time is this study. So the way they set it up, they had a group of housekeepers split into two different groups. And in one group, they told the housekeepers nothing. In the other group, they told the housekeepers, hey, do you know that when you're cleaning, you're actually meeting the Surgeon General's requirement for exercise? That's it. That was the only difference between the two groups. And yet, after 4 weeks' time, despite the fact that they all wore these nifty wristwatches which tracked exertion rate, heart rate, steps, all of that was factored out of the analysis. 4 weeks later, the group that was simply told that they were meeting the Surgeon General's requirement for exercise had lower weight, lower blood pressure, lower body fat, lower waist to hip ratio, and a lower body mass index. I read that study and I was like, you are an athlete. If you're laughing right now, thanks. I'm also a skeptic, right? And I was like, all right, there's no way. Like, the scientists must have missed something here. So I dug into the research and I found more research that supports this. And I found more research that supports this. And ultimately, I got to do some research that supported this. It turns out, I think we're a bit too dismissive of the placebo effect. We're like, oh, the placebo, oh, well, that's just the story that your brain is telling. Pfft. Yeah, the story that your brain is telling is incredibly powerful. It manifests changes in your body, in your relationship with yourself, and in your relationship with others. So it's really important that you pay attention to the stories that you're telling yourself. When you stop to listen, put away the phone, get into a quiet room by yourself, and just listen to what comes up. My guess is most of what's going to come up, you're not going to be very happy with, because your brain is full of these guys. Ants. Not the creepy, crawly critters, but automatic negative thoughts. Automatic negative thoughts are the thoughts that kept our ancestors alive because they focused on the negative. They thought, that's not a songbird here to entertain me. That's a snake. That's a tiger. Those were really helpful back then. But today, these automatic negative thoughts prevent us from living fully. We've got to replace them with something. Now, we know from brain science that these habits, these neural circuits, you can't just break them. It takes some work, some effort. In fact, it's a lot easier if you replace the neural circuit with something. So I can't just smush an ant. I have to replace it with something else. What am I going to replace it with? Easy. These cuties, little cute fuzzies. Pets. Practiced enlightened thoughts. This is as cheesy as it sounds. Ready? I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. If you remember that SNL character, you're a part of my tribe. But truly, as much as we laugh and joke about these mantras, these practiced enlightened thoughts, the science is pretty strong. In fact, when we start to replace our automatic negative thoughts with practiced enlightened thoughts, we live longer, in better health, have better business practices, better relationships, better communication, and more profitable companies. This is a game changer. So how do we begin to change the way our brain processes these thoughts? Well, let's start with an automatic negative thought that we just talked about. I'm a failure. Oh, I'm a failure. Great. Where does that get you? It gets you sitting in the corner or outside of the car going, I fail. I'm terrible. There's no action there. You can't do anything about it. So what if we replace this with a practiced enlightened thought? Now, of course, just like any pet, these take more work. They don't just show up like automatic negative thoughts. But when you notice this, we can change it to, I'm just not ready yet. So here's how I'm going to prepare myself. I'm just not ready yet. I tried to pass them on the curve. I wasn't ready yet. If my goal truly is to be a race car driver, this is the next step. Now I have an action item. Same thing with this one. I'll never be worthy. I'll never be enough. This one breaks my heart because I don't know a single person who hasn't said this to themselves at some point in their lives. And yet, I know very few who have asked themselves this question. Are you ready? For whom? Who are you trying to be worthy and enough for? What if you were just enough as you are? What if you didn't have to prove yourself? Instead of having to prove yourself again and again and, well, failing, or having the ant say you're a failure, what if you just showed up with worth and told your brain a different story? It begins to change your relationships, not only with yourself, but with everyone you encounter. And then finally, my favorite. Ready? It's a snake. I told you we'd come back to snakes, right? This is the biggest fear. We got to conquer this fear. So in order to replace that ant, I want to replace it with, it's a snake. Wait a second. No, that's right. Exact same words. And this is the magical thing about the brain. The magical thing about the brain is that it releases the exact same hormonal cocktail under fear, stress, and anxiety as it does under excitement. So when we're in fear, when we're stressed out, when we're anxious, Our brain and body react by producing adrenaline and cortisol and dopamine and happy hormones like serotonin and this incredibly complex mixture. And yet, when we're excited, it releases the exact same mixture. So the only difference between what we're experiencing under fear and under excitement is the interpretation. How are we interpreting the signal that we're feeling in our body? Are we choosing an adventure or are we choosing an ordeal? I think this is one of the most powerful concepts that anybody can start to begin practicing in their own lives. You can have two people sitting next to each other on a roller coaster. One's going, whee! And the next person next to him is going, ah! Because one is having an adventure and the other is having an ordeal. Life is going to continue to be roller coasters, especially for small business owners. There's always another dip along the way and another advantage. When we can show up and continue to choose adventures, I guarantee you, you're going to have a lot more fun along that ride. So here's where I want to close. My dad was a minister, and he used to tell all kinds of amazing stories. This is the only one sermon that I remember, but it was a good one. He stood in front of his congregation with a bottle of water, and he started shaking it, and the water's going everywhere, and I'm like, whoa, this is cool. You have my attention, sir. And he asked his congregation a very simple question. He asked them, why does the water spill out? And I thought, well, this is easy, right? He's shaking the bottle. Of course the water's spilling out. Well, that wasn't the answer. The answer was the water spills out because it's water that's inside. What's inside of you? When life shakes you, which inevitably it will, it is. What's spilling out of you? And my guess is it's fear. Fear spills out of all of us in the form of stories and instincts and shortcuts we don't mean to have spill out. So imagine how you can begin to take back your power by becoming a little more fearless. Now notice, less is in parentheses. I'm not saying go out there and be fearless. There's nothing to fear. Of course there's things to fear. But the question is, are they actual tigers? Are they real life threatening situations? Or are they cage tigers? Are they fears like rejection and failure that really we need to start dealing with very differently? Imagine how you can show up in your life as a fearless leader. That's where I leave you guys tonight. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. I'm looking forward to talking a lot more with you tonight and tomorrow.
Can you hear us, Rebecca?
I can.
Rebecca, thank you so much. I want to make sure everybody knows that it wasn't a whole lot of arm twisting to get you to do this for us. You graciously chose to do this, and we thank you. I have to thank Chuck for introducing us, and you can punish him later for that.
I tried to look like him tonight. I wore my orange jumpsuit just for him.
and I see he likes you enough that he let you use his new toy with that big board behind you.
It's pretty fun, isn't it?
It is great. So Rebecca, I got a couple of questions. I took some notes and I got a couple of questions for you. So the statement you made, just drive your own car. Like, that's so clean and pure, and why is that so hard to do? Why do I care that Bill cares whether my coat is handsome or not?
This is a fundamental fear for us, is we are constantly worried about what others think of us because, well, if they don't like us and they kick us out of the tribe, we die. That's in our heads. Like, our brains believe that. But we know that's not reality. So when we begin to update our software, as it were, right, we can realize, oh, you know what? Actually, Bill is just as worried about how he looks as I am about how I look. And so the more we recognize these biases in others, we can go, oh, it doesn't matter. My favorite thing, I have people telling me all the time, like, hey, how can I look better in Zoom meetings, right? This has been a big thing. I'm like, dude, stop worrying about you. Nobody's looking at you. Everybody's looking at themselves, right? Everybody's looking at themselves.
That's so funny. And you said something else. It's like the core of small business. And when you talk about failure for small business people, in general, the people I know that start and move towards small business, they don't see themselves ever failing. They might make some mistakes, have to change something else. They might alter to a different business or industry, but they don't see themselves failing, right? Now, they may not see themselves the same way personally, but in a business sense, they seem to capture the understanding that I haven't failed until I quit, right? I'll just do something else. So it's kind of like the core of difference that I see between small business people and people that choose not to do that. Is that a bad comparison, or would you agree with that?
Oh no, I think it's great. I mean, that's exactly it. It's the tenacity to recognize. Wait a second. This is if I sorry, I got some feedback there. If I quit now, if that compromises my core value, why would I give up? What's the next step that I can take? What's the smallest step forward that I can make? And you see that, I mean, look at this past year and a half. I can't speak more highly of the small business community in this area for all of the pivots, all of the ways they've adopted. It's been an incredible thing to witness.
So I got one more question for you.
Yeah.
Why is it that the dude that spills coffee gets the job instead of me with my brand new jacket and my fresh cut hair? I don't get that.
Because you look too good. I don't see your humanity. Like, I don't want to be compared to you, man. Like, I gotta spiff up here because I'm comparing to you. So I'd rather hire the guy that's just like, okay, he's more like me. He's spilling stuff, you know?
That may be why everybody likes my mentee.
I reckon so.
Hi, Tom.
Rebecca, thank you so much. It is such an honor to have you here. Now, tomorrow morning we're going to do this. I'm saving. I got all manner of questions for tomorrow. We're going to go through.
Good.
I'm sure
I'm
you got
excited.
the
I can't
answers because you wrote the book. Thank you so much for doing this. We really do appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow morning. If anybody wants to hear that interview, it's going to be at 8 o'clock tomorrow on WSIC Radio. And Rebecca, you have topped off a fabulous small business show. And I can't thank you enough for doing that.
It was absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. And so, Bill, I think all we've got to do is thank sponsors one more time, buddy.
Well, yeah, absolutely. We want to thank Novant Health Huntersville Medical Center for being our presenting sponsor of the whole Small Business Week. We want to thank Central Piedmont Community College, CPCC, also Business Today, Cornelius Today, and Lakeside Living Magazine. And I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank everybody that took time to watch. This has been recorded, and there's opportunities to continue to see it because it's going to live on YouTube.
So you have watched tonight, and you can go back and watch last night, 2021 Small Business Event of the Year, Total Business Wellness, Feel Good, Work Good, and Achieve Intentional Success. And we thank you for being a part of this year's Small Business Celebration.
Absolutely.
We're out. Mentee, take it away.